welcome, welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 105. We're back, baby. It's me, Sigma. Just before I let you know who is joining me this week for episode 105, real quick, we'll go over what our topics will be. There aren't many of them. Most of them are actually all the same topic. The Sony State of Play just aired. So a lot of news came out of that. A lot of opinions came out of just the show. Came out on just the show overall. So we'll talk about, I guess, how we feel, how the industry feels about Sony's showings, as well as our next topic, some news still in the Sony camp about the Last of Us multiplayer thing that's been being worked on for a very long time now, essentially being delayed, and kind of our thoughts on that project. But here to discuss such things with me, Frost.
What's up, yo harlots? Hope you're ready to talk about some game news.
Also joining me, Honey Money.
Hello.
Hey, glad to have you guys back. It's been a little while, 2 weeks to be exact. Had some stuff to take care of. My fiance's graduation 2 weeks ago, trip to Colombia 1 week ago. I'm still reeling from both. So apologies if I sound like low energy, or if I'm forgetting things or making mistakes or whatever. I've not been sleeping very much. But it's not the fault of life or whatever. It's me very much missing my vacation time.
Right? Yeah, no, that's the thing. Once you get that time to actually deflate for a little bit, it feels like you can't get the air back.
It's hard to pump back up, and because I came back Tuesday evening, so there wasn't much for me to do, because that's actually my off day. I was off of work, but escaping stuff, I don't do anything on Tuesdays. But I could have done stuff. I could have started working on reviews. I just didn't want to. I was I just came back from flight. I'm not gonna do anything.
That's fair.
Let's go back from vacation to capitalism. Nah, dude, I don't want this.
But the very next day, I had a full work schedule. I had to go to work and then do 2 streams on Escapist, and it just picked right back up. And I really haven't recovered fully.
Yeah, that postpartum vacation.
God.
That's a good.
Being an American is a hell of a ride.
There we go.
Deebs, right. I see you in the chat. Says morning, y'all. King's Dead says always plan for recovery time after vacation. If only I could. I don't have enough vacation time to plan vacation time after my vacation time.
Yo, hey dog, heard you like vacation.
Says, imagine if you had a mandated minimum 4 weeks of time off a year, Frost. Could you imagine? It's not real.
Kind of. I don't know.
It's not a thing.
See, my problem is I would still use it. I'd still want to do stuff.
It's a thing here. Let me tell you.
Yeah, you guys have actually proper time off and all that. Me,
yeah.
I can't 9 months I grind and then I could do nothing, but it feels weird to not. So
because the trick is, and this is what I learned being in Colombia. The trick is to put yourself in a situation where you can't do anything. You're forced to essentially do nothing, because you don't have access. You're in the wrong time zone. You're there's people around you, stuff like that just limits your ability to actually think and do work stuff. Because otherwise I probably would have been on vacation trying to grind out some review time, because I had stuff with me, that was part of the plan. But the way things went was shit, I don't got time for this, and also I don't want to do this.
Yeah. You got to be in a place that has none of that. So the hospital, a theater.
Hold on.
What?
You can't work in the hospital. Their Wi-Fi is bad, dude.
That's not a vacation, though.
No, not a vacation, but just any kind of separation. Before, I used to cut my hair, right? I'm cut my own hair. Now I'm okay with going to the barbers, just because that's 20 minutes where I'm not allowed to work. It's starting to become therapeutic. Yeah.
I feel it's sad just hearing this, because it's you guys are so capitalist. You live in that where it's I can't turn it off. I gotta work all the time. Doesn't matter.
It's Republic.
Here everyone's oh, vacation for 4 weeks is nothing, and people tend to do it because they know they have it.
It's sad. We're trapped. Help us. Someone launch a war against America. Let me not say that.
Let's not do that.
Can a country with socialized healthcare please invade our country and change our paradigm, baby? Yeah. All right, we can get into what we've been playing and watching. Anybody feel like going first, letting us know kind of what you've been consuming media-wise?
I always got a lot to talk about, I feel.
I mean,
don't know.
I can start because I don't think I have a lot to
Oh
talk
yeah.
about.
Yeah, I'll start.
One of the things I've had to work on is the review for Lego 2K Drive. Like that game came out a while ago, but I'm that far behind because one, I got it late, and two, I wasn't doing shit. Like I went on vacation, so. But I have been grinding away on it. The review's written up. I'm just waiting on some editing stuff, and then I'll probably do the video. It'll probably be out at some point next week, if at all. Like it's so late now. I wonder if they'll just kill it. but
Well,
but I will
no.
say it's a fun little open world racing game. Like think Mario Kart and Burnout Paradise.
Okay.
Because like
Okay.
you have access to not like a huge giant map, but several little hub maps. So like they're all open world. Like you can go anywhere. There's like tons of stuff on them, like little challenges and like specific races for those areas. And you race, like it has a story mode, and you race against like very like fun Lego like caricatures. Like there's like a scientist lady who she's basically telling you like her odds of winning like through like math equations or whatever. There's like hillbillies who, you know, they're just making jokes about like milking cows and stuff the whole time you're racing them. Like
As they
like
do.
yeah, like it's
Yeah,
really
they do.
it's really silly. Like they're all like very fun childlike characters. And you know you have power-ups. The power-ups have like defensive and offensive capabilities. And one thing I found is like unlike Mario Kart, the power-ups don't feel as overpowered and as detrimental to your standing in the race. Like you'll get hit by something in Mario Kart and like it will finish you for like the entirety of the rest of the race.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter how good you're doing or how poor you're doing. Like you'll get an item, it will just completely randomize the place you end up in. 2K Drive doesn't feel like that. Like if you get hit by something, oftentimes it's something that you can do something about. Like they'll put you in like a webbing which slows you a bit, but you can like mash a button and it'll clear your screen so you can keep going. You'll sometimes have like a EMP which will like shield you, so like you just hold on to that. If like a rocket is incoming, you can like actually block it, so you have some defenses. But like at the same time, like it can help you out. Like some of the AI can be pretty unforgiving in how they like zoom past you and stuff, and like you can use like rockets or other things which sometimes you have to aim. Like it's not all automatically hitting everyone at all times.
Right.
Some of the things you do have to aim a little bit, but then it'll slow them down enough that you can actually catch up yourself.
Is that the world you want to live in, Casey?
Kind
Mario
of.
Kart with only green shells and coins.
Kind of, yeah. Like I get that people are big fans of like the chaos that ensues in like a Mario Kart
Yeah.
race, but like I think there has to be some balance, right? Like if you introduce some of like the nonsense, like at least make there be a skill gap that can get you out of it. Because like we've seen on our streams that there's some people who are really good at the mechanics of Mario Kart, but they'll still end up like super low in the standings because they just had a string of bad luck.
What was it? Baby Park? Who was it that was just gunning us, bro? Just completely dogging us. But we put them on Baby Park and they came in like eighth.
Yeah, because there was too much going on for them
It
to
was just
manage.
too much for them to keep up with it. Yeah. No, it sounds like it's closer to CTR.
Crash Team Racing. Okay.
Team Racing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Where
not
it
super
didn't have
familiar
any
with that,
like.
but
Yeah, there was no auto aim stuff. You had to aim your stuff, and like if you run in through these TNT crates, if you mash the jump button enough, it could throw it off of your head. Like there was a lot of counterplay to that kind of stuff.
yeah, like
So,
I appreciate that.
but obviously, it's still messing with you as you're trying to drive. You know.
Sure.
But yeah, it
And
wasn't
that's
just
part of the fun. Like I get that, like that chaos being part of the fun. The fact that it's Lego also plays into it in a cool way. Because if you're, for example, in traffic or like barricades on the sides, everything is built out of Lego. So like you'll destroy everything, and then you'll just have like a shower of bricks like all over the place.
cool.
Like when all the cars are together, even like they can bump into each other. You can do damage to each other's cars, and your cars are also made of Legos. So like you'll see like pieces flying off of the cars, and like it's actual pieces being removed from the Lego build of the car. And so like it's just a really neat looking game, but it feels really good to play too. Like it doubles down on all the arcade stuff in that yes, you can drift like the entirety of the track if you're good enough, but it also has like an e-brake turn, so like you could ignore drifting altogether and just hit like crazy L turns when you need to to just put your car exactly where you need it to be. Like you can do both. Like, you can drive super slippery, or you can drive real Tokyo drifty.
Yeah, sounds like it might kill Disney Storm or whatever it was called.
Did that control a little more like loosely? Because I didn't get a chance to try that out either.
It's not okay. So you say here you have that option of like drift like crazy or do hairpin turns or whatever. The map is so dang wide that like it doesn't matter what you do. Like you can do whatever you want, but there's no skill in the way you're expressing yourself. It's just so dang wide. You know, this is definitely feels like a baby's first racer in a way.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's something I appreciate about 2K Drive is that yes, a young kid could play this and have a lot of fun, but they put everything in there to just make it a solid video game. Like it feels like a really fun, really fast arcade racer with just a ton of silly Lego trappings placed on top of it.
Love it.
I really think people will like it, especially if they're adults playing with kids or kids playing with adults. Like that mix, I think we'll both find a lot to like out of that game. But
game night.
I mean, yeah, I think it would work for game night because we're all a bunch of baby adults.
Lego heads. Yeah, all that.
Very different.
But I'm trying to think of, like, I think that's the only game I've been playing that I can talk about. Like, still been messing around with Tears of the Kingdom, but not like a ton. Still just hunting shrines. Still have not upgraded myself past the first heart that you get automatically before you leave the Sky Island. So like fights are tough, but like I'm not really concerned with the combat. I think Legend of Zelda combat has run its course for me. Like I don't think it's fun.
That's just because you play Link, bro. You're oversaturated from Smash.
No, I don't think it's that. I just think other action adventure games have better combat systems because like to be effective in Breath of the Wild, like you'll see some of these like trick shot videos in on TikTok and Twitter or whatever, and like they're like doing bomb jumps, they're doing like glides to like get super air, they're like doing slow-mo arrow shots or whatever. But in order to do all that shit, you have to go into the menu 4, 5, 6 times. Like what? Like why would they build a system that continuously sends you to your pause screen? Like I'm not playing at that level where they make it look super fast, but like even when they do it, like you see they have to stop and go into the menu multiple times. Like it's not a good flow for combat.
Right.
And like it can be fun, but like I think people are glossing over the fact that that's kind of unacceptable. Like why should I have to go into the pause menu 4 or 5 times in a single fight? Like I don't like it. Like I'm coming to that conclusion. I don't like that.
Did you not play the old one where you had
I did.
Like, go into the menu, put your boots on so you could sink, and then take them off so you could float? Like, I just love that stuff.
That is older Zelda, but that was the limitations of the button configuration. Like you only had 2 free buttons to put those things on, and some of the later versions of that game fixed that by either giving you more buttons or I think it was just by giving you more buttons, honestly. Like just they let you assign more stuff to the thing. So like it's data design. It's something that should change. But it's something that Nintendo clearly has no imperative to change, and that no one seems to criticize them on. So like it just keeps going. It just keeps going, like Pokemon before it. Like I love Zelda. Like I don't want to be a Zelda hater. Like and I think Tears of the Kingdom is fun. I've not been playing enough of it, but in my I just smacked the shit out of my mic. In my disjointed playtime, it's a thing that I've come to start to get annoyed by. And I didn't feel that way in Breath of the Wild, but it's like me like pecking at it is like, this isn't great because there's other things that are much better at this point.
Right. That's fair. Yeah, it feels weird to me. I watch those videos, but as soon as I see them pop up a menu, I'm like, that's it, brother. Nah. Like I watch some speedrunners, and it feels like most of the time saved is in just how fast they are at operating the menu.
Yeah, how quick
that kind of takes me out of it. Like I want your game to feel that nasty. I don't want to feel like I'm gaming the game. Like I want the mechanics themselves to be like just to be juicy and delicious. Not like, nah, dude, just looking at this menu this whole time, like, god dang it. That's a weird skill.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm so good at shooting. I'm so good at slashing. So I'm very good with the pause button. That's a weird skill to master for me. Yeah, I could see that.
Lampy in chat says the quick switch menus for weapons and items is pretty quick though. Once you switch your brain from using the pause menu to the quick menus, it's the same thing for me. Like, I know I said pause menu, but I am referring to the quick menu as well.
That wheel thing?
It's not a wheel. It's literally a line, which is also bad. It's a line across, and you have to scroll through it to get to what you want. Like, for example, if you're shooting the arrow, you press up, and then it'll give you a line of all the things you can attach to it. Same thing with your weapons. Same thing with your shield. Like, you can pick between them, but it's in a row. It's not in a radial menu, which would be quicker. It's in a line, which is the worst way to pick through several options. But like, even though that's the quicker way to do it, that's still a pause menu. Yeah, like you still the game literally freezes when it pulls that thing up, so you can select what you want to happen, and then it instantaneously shows up back when time resumes. I just want time to play. Give me a way to like maybe pre-select those things in a loadout, and then I can like go in with a plan and then execute that plan without having to go back into a menu.
I like it.
Maybe Nintendo. I don't know, but I mean, everyone's happy, so I'm not. I'm not gonna say
it is Zelda. People have been waiting for this, so
yeah. I'm still having fun with it. Like it's not game breaking, but I do think that's something that they get away with, and Nintendo gets away with a lot. That's something they get away with that just has not been criticized. I've seen anywhere, and I think we should call them on it.
They won't change anything though. It's Nintendo. They don't. They will do whatever they want. They know you will buy their shit.
That is true.
That's the issue.
Like, not only did I buy it, because I was so hyped to buy it, I also bought Splatoon 3. Like what? Like the freaking voucher system. Like it saves you. It saves you money, quote unquote. But it's only specific games that they choose. And Zelda started at $70 anyway, so like I'm like, oh, I'm getting over it. I'm getting $20 off Zelda, but Splatoon is also just $60. So I paid $100 and I just paid $50 for both of them, and it feels like a deal. But I wasn't gonna buy Splatoon 3 otherwise, so I just spent $100 where I should have spent $70.
Yeah, it's that sale culture. I know a lot of people are like, man, I got a big deal. I got like 30 packs of gum for $1. Like, you don't even chew gum.
Like, this gum isn't even for you.
Yeah. What are you doing?
It's ridiculous.
Amazing.
But Lampy chimes in that vouchers also last a year. So like, you can just lose that money if you don't use it, because nothing that you want is in their store. So there's that option. Also, there's games that are less than the cost of the voucher. If you were to get two $40 games from their list, because they put $40 games in their list, you would pay more for those games using those vouchers. How is that allowed?
Nintendo. That's how.
It's ridiculous.
The only person that could tell, like, slap Nintendo and say, get your act right, would be the mouse. I don't think they're gonna fight anytime soon.
Yeah, they're in two different of an industry. Like, they're like, yes, I'll rule my kingdom over here. It is like, I'll rule
pretty much. Yeah. If we're talking the kingdom of the East, the kingdom of the West, it's Disney and Nintendo.
Like Nintendo just had their $1 billion Mario movie, so like, could they be encroaching? Like, will Disney take notice if they realize that Nintendo can put $1 billion movies out whenever they want to?
No, because they can't do it whenever they want to, because they need Latinos. That was the secret sauce to the Mario movie. Straight up. Mexico, this is the biggest movie release in Mexico right now. Like, they are doing numbies. The international market, Mexico leads it. And if America taps into Mexico, they tap into their own demographic, because up to 20% of America is Latinos.
That is
the
true.
Correlations, like the Sonic movie, it's also lifted up by Mexicans. My peoples, my Nintendo Sega generation is showing up for these movies. They can't do that for Zelda. They could do it for Mario 2, not Zelda, because that's the point where we go, what? Like, we weren't buying localized Zelda games. We were buying the America games, and we couldn't read them. You know, so like the attachment there, you can't do that. You can't have these vignettes of Mario just doing whatever, woohoo, yahoo, all that good stuff. We still don't know who Zelda is.
I would like to see that point proven. Like, that's super interesting. I want them to go full force on a Zelda movie and then be like, yeah, the Latin market did not eat it.
They'll get the European market, because I was writing up a thing of like, okay, what's the deciding thing about these video game movies? It tends to be their international success elsewhere. So like China, just straight up.
Yeah. China.
All of the Blizzard one. China shows up for a lot of them. And the ones that they didn't, like Assassin's Creed, it was France and England. right? So I'm like, France and England will probably be the ones that boost up Zelda if China doesn't care. But these last ones, the most successful ones in America, where they can catch up to 40% of the revenue coming straight from domestic, is Sonic, is Mario, is Mexicans. And I'm like, if you don't catch my people, bro, you're not good. You're not gonna do it.
I like that list. I like that Mexicans are right there next to Sonic and Mario. Just
We
like
we
their
love
own
it.
their own video
Yeah,
game
no,
characters.
the whole that whole culture of like, because we had a guy, I forgot his name, Gus Ramirez, I think is what his name was. He started Nintendo Mania. While you guys had your Saturday morning cartoons, we just had Nintendo shows in Mexico, and that culture of my grandparents had the little arcade machine with Mario that my dad would run the shop, and that's where that love for Nintendo came from. And it was big Nintendo culture that we brought with us to the States. But even then, you're talking about these immigrants with big families, not a lot of money. They stayed loyal to Nintendo. So like Mario is as much of the culture as anything else, and that's why Sonic, Mario, Kirby, you have a chance. But once you're starting to get into Zelda, you're like, all right, I don't know about this one. It has to be simple. It has to be not so lore heavy.
Gotcha.
So that's my tin hat theory. If you don't get the Mexicans, you're not doing this again, unless it's Kirby.
That's interesting. I would love to see that like play out. But I think that's pretty much it for me. I finished Fired on Mars, which is HBO animated series. It's good. The premise that sucked me in is not the story that it ends with. I feel like it kind of moves away from the weird situation, the weird setup of being like an employee for like a faceless company that kind of leaves you stranded after you've traveled with them on a colony for work. Like it turns into something else towards the end, but that second story is also interesting. So like I didn't mind it as much. But it ends its first season with a huge cliffhanger, and I have no confidence that HBO Max is gonna renew this and finish it out. So like that kind of sucks. So I don't know. Maybe be wary until you hear of like season 2, because like the cliffhanger is like kind of vicious. It's like, oh, I have no idea how any of these people's stories end.
They did it to us.
But outside of that, I've been continuing to watch Baki Hanma, which is a ridiculously stupid show.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. It's really, really dumb. It has a lot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure energy. I feel like they've taken a ton of inspiration from that, in that it's super macho, but like to the point where they're making fun of other shows that are supposed to be super macho. But like Baki does it in such a way where, and JoJo's does this a lot too, where it's like they over explain very simple concepts, and to those characters it's like, oh, it's revolutionary that someone would think to do this. Like for example, not to spoil anything, there's a big scene where like a very, very strong world champion level fighter is being overwhelmed by 3 dudes, like 3 amateur dudes they call themselves. And it's because the reasoning is because as fast as you are, as quick as you weave, you can't do anything about getting punched by more than one person. You can only ever dodge 1 punch at a time. The other 2 will probably hit you. And that's the logic that like blows their minds. Like, oh no, what am I gonna do against 2 more people? Like, it's really stupid, but like it's very funny.
What is his enlightenment that lets him overcome it?
Oh, he doesn't. He loses.
Oh, never mind. Someone will be. That's always the setup. It's just like, essentially like kind of like
another character shows up and is like, oh, well, this isn't a big deal to me because I'm that much stronger. But like that logic of like, oh, you're a really, really good like fighter, but like you add more people to the mix, what you gonna do? It's like, well, you know what? You're right. If I get jumped, I'm probably gonna lose.
Yeah, I don't know what that's called, but they always do that where it's just like, oh, it's like, I've never been beaten before, but this is my first time fighting a southpaw. It's like, how are you going to deal with a left-handed fighter, bro? And it's like, like
they dramatize the shit out of like very simple things like that. But like it works.
I love that so much in anime. So many animes have that. Blue Lock has that. Your sports ones, Food Wars, everything. It's just like, umami. Oh my God, the secret ingredient. So good.
But that's pretty much it for me. If you guys have anything you want to share, you can go right into it.
I mean, I could throw it in because I also haven't seen
Go ahead.
that much. I've just been writing. Planet of Lana, really, really good. The presentation value on this is elevated beyond anything else that I've played in the genre. But it's
Oh.
competing with your very monochromatic depress 'em ups, your limbos, your inside. You just
Depress him up.
yeah, just move to the right, be a sad indie boy, and indie boy or girl, and yeah, just solve the puzzles as they present themselves, but they're very straightforward, right? It's nothing innovative in that sense, but it's really starting to become the sort of video game short stories, short films that I'm kind of looking forward to. That's what throws me off about God of War Ragnarok, where it will be 5 times longer than the show, like guaranteed. I'm pretty sure the Last of Us video game is longer than the TV show. Whereas Planet of Lana takes like 4 hours, and that is my equivalent of like, okay, I just watched a little movie, and it's done it super well, super extraordinarily well.
Yay, Sweden.
Right? Yeah, the biggest digs for it. Oh my god, yeah, it's so cinematic. The biggest dig against it is, oh, it does nothing new for the genre, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Shooters have been the same for years.
Yeah, like
what new do you constantly want?
yeah, like that
Yeah.
indie art house platformer. Like I want to say, like it probably didn't start there, but I want to say like Braid was like the beginning of the zeitgeist for that sort of thing, and then like Limbo like blew the doors off it in a way where
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you got a ton of copycats.
Yeah.
But like I don't think there are that many. Like it's not like oversaturated. So like if people have ideas for good ones, like keep them coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
think there are
when
that many
when is
Yeah.
great
it?
ones.
Yeah, when is it mimicry and when is it essentially becoming a genre, right? Because
Mhm.
like now you could tell somebody, I play Halo, I play Battlefield, I play Call of Duty, no one judges you, right? But
Yeah.
Well,
now it's
somebody
like,
judges you.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
It's
I'll
the
judge
internet.
you, Nick.
Everyone judges you.
But you see a Planet of Lana and people just go, oh, so it's just like Limbo, but like colorful, bro. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
but that's the issue. I feel like is the mechanics may be the same, but what they do or tend to try and do is make the environments different, the stories different. Like they enforce that instead. Like
Yeah.
sure, the mechanics the same, but what's everything else though?
the
It's not just the
framing,
mechanic.
like,
Yeah.
and it is a lot of the elevation is in the artistic representation
Yeah.
where this is like super cinema, almost to the phrase being like Oscar baity. But that's kind of cool because that's somewhere like Limbo hasn't really tread yet, where it is like, yeah, just give me this cinematic swelling music and brilliant framing and that sort
Yeah.
of sensation that I'm seeing out of like also Bramble. Bramble just kind of looked a
Oh
little
yeah, Bramble.
strange.
Also Sweden.
Great.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
right. They're just doing amazing on these move to the right em ups. So
Yeah.
it's a limbo like, yeah, it's a limbo like, it's a COD like. I think it's a genre. I think it's here to stay, and I like to see where they'd go with it. But I'm not sure how far you can innovate before it just becomes something else, right? Like, imagine Limbo, but he can jump and slash. Well, he just made like a platformer now, you know?
Well, I think that's the hook, right? Like it's
Yeah,
because the core of it is being side scrolling, being a
Yep.
platformer, being puzzle solutions, right? But
Yep.
it's in I think the puzzle implementation that's really going to set these things apart more so even than like maybe the stories that they tell because
oh, for
and
sure.
honestly they do need the stories to go along with it as well. Like you need that emotional hook to kind of sell this stuff because the gameplay can be very simplistic, but the only way to ramp up that gameplay is to get real innovative with like the puzzle platforming stuff.
Yeah.
Because like
And
if it
it's-
turns too platformy, then that's just a platformer, right? And then you don't.
Exactly.
Then you're playing like a real. Sorry, that sounds.
A real game.
Is that,
A real game.
that sounds disrespectful. But like you're playing something with like a ton of mechanics, and the more mechanics you add, then it's like the less you kind of need a story. But
Yeah. But now it's a different game entirely. you know?
yeah.
Like, I was
Because
playing
Celeste is that, right? Celeste is full of actual like super tough platform mechanics, but it does tell a story. But like Celeste is not 4 hours.
That's not for anyone who wants to just play a limbo like,
Right, yeah.
like, what have you done to me? My hands. I can't deal with this. Yeah, no. If anything, I love this genre in particular because of the unspokenness. You don't have to worry about localization. You don't have to worry about languages because they don't speak any languages, and it's just all about the art coming your way. And it also almost allows a lot of accessibility in the fact that to solve this puzzle, to beat this game, you have to essentially just go in one direction. You don't have to second guess yourself as to which way. So, like, I do appreciate that unspoken linearity that it offers, and yeah, no, all around good game. It's on Game Pass now. I know we did the sponsored stream, but I'm not sponsored to say I like it after the fact. It's pretty
So it's
baller
nice.
game, I say. Absolutely. And then
Sweet. Yeah, 4 hours. Easy.
4
Easy
hours.
peasy. Knock it out.
Elise said
Yeah.
3.5. I took my sweet time on it because we had to do it for 2 streams.
Yeah.
You know, but if you just gun it, like you about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, something like that. Outside of that, what did I do? I played Hawken. That game, as Jay and I put it, it's just a game. There's really nothing wrong with it and nothing good with it. So that 22% negative reviews has to come from fans and high expectations, which is sort of ties into a cold take I'm working on right now, where I don't need games because I need something to do, right? I want to find something fun to play and, you know, have some crazy stuff. So it almost is a hanging crime to just be a game, you know, just being a normal game. Especially
like something that's decidedly middling. The fact that it doesn't sway your emotions one way or another is kind of a death knell. Because we have freaking Lord of the Rings Gollum that just came out and is a trash fire apparently. So it's gonna get some people talking. But like other than the fact that you played Hawken for wish list, like I don't think anyone's talking about it because like it's not good, it's not bad, it's just there.
Fans are talking about it.
But like who are the fans of Hawken?
Yeah, who are the fans?
For Hawken, it's the people who liked old Armored Core. It's just one of the big.
It's the only thing they have.
Yeah, one of the big mech video games. If you like mech video games, you almost have to like Hawken. But they did have some pretty decent ones back in the day. That's
I don't think
the
Hawken was
now.
one of them though. Is what I'm getting at. Like I remember Hawken. Like it launched back in the day, and I think back then it was also free. Like it was a free to play, like multiplayer mech thing. Like way before everything was free to play.
This is single player. This is single player PVE, and that's almost strange. I'm seeing so many multiplayer games. This kind of ties into that topic we're going to hit later on. But I've seen so many early release multiplayer games for a multiplayer game to now release as a single player PvE experience where you grind out for like 0.01% increase in your like thrust capacity or whatever. I say, what is happening here? I was like, I need a podcast while I play this thing. You know, it's that game. I guess.
So they tried to turn it into like a roguelike experience.
No, it's not even roguey. No, it's just a very linear levels. Just boom.
Oh.
Yeah, again, it was just there was nothing. It's just a game. It's generic. It's average. It's middling. It's egregiously normal.
Yeah, like unless there's a license attached to it, like a license people like actually care about, like Star Wars, for example. Like you can't get away with that with middling.
No, because you'll forget it. That's the biggest issue with games. If you forget them instantly, it's like no one's gonna talk about it. No one cares.
I can only tell you for right now that it is because of how average it was and fresh in my mind that I can relate this. I will forget this by next week.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, when we do the best and worst and whatever, people will say, "Hey, what about Hawken? How'd you feel about that?" I was like, "Who?"
He's like, "Did I play that? What are you talking about?"
I didn't. That wasn't me. That was different. It was different, man. Yeah, no. So Planet of Lana, Hawken. I've been writing like crazy. Did I watch anything? I don't think so. I don't think so. I made it to Sunday. If I finish this video in time, I could maybe watch some Lord of the Rings. But I'm also wanting to do a Batman binge, all the Batman, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, just to have something going there.
You getting ready for the Flashpoint movie?
No, not at all. Like I don't even know why. I think it's because I've been listening to "Kiss from a Rose" by Seal, and that was in the Michael Keaton one. Yeah. I was like, absolutely, the most sensitive of all Batmen.
That song in that movie, like, why? That song was a hit, mind you. Like,
it was.
Oh yeah,
it was always on the radio.
I mean, it's great though. It's just the lyrics.
Yeah, it's like what does any of this have to do with Batman?
That's what we needed. A little Baroque, a little waltz, in my Batman movie. Beautiful. Yeah, no, but that's it for me as far as what I've been doing. Honey Money, you carry us now. What have you been up to?
I mean, I watched the movie, the Sisu movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
If you watch the trailer for it, it's exactly what you see in the trailer. There's nothing else. And it's like, it's fun because if you go in expecting, oh, it's from the studio that does John Wick, it's like, sure, but it's also like people getting blown up and like arms torn off and like there's some like torture porn stuff in it. So it's like, it's not John Wick in that sense. I guess it's budget John Wick. I don't know. But it was fine. It was also the perfect length. It was like 1 hour and 30 minutes. Because if it was longer, it would be like, this 90. Is terrible. Yeah. And it was nice to actually see a movie that was shot in Scandinavia. That's like this, because it is shot in Lapland, which is the north of Sweden, and like Finland we share. And like Russia, I think.
Is it also set there, or is that a stand-in for another place?
No, it is set. It is set in Finland. So it is about this guy that finds gold after like World War II or like 1944, and there was still like there were troops going through like Germany and Finland and stuff like that. I think they went through Sweden too, but we didn't have anything to do with it. They just like went through our countries. So he comes up on these Nazis coming back basically, and they're like, "Oh, he has gold," and then they try to take his gold. Turns out, he's a murder machine. So action ensues.
I love it. Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's incredibly simple, and it's for what it is. It's exactly what you think it is, basically. Just watch the trailer and be like, "Yeah, I'll watch that." It's exactly that. But it was fine. Like it was, yeah. Just don't go in with expectations of this is gonna be like John Wick,
right?
All stylish and it's not that. So as long as you temper your expectations.
Yeah, like John Wick is kind of its own beast. I've not seen anything that reaches that level of like cool / action, especially something that has come out of like a mainstream studio. Like maybe some underground stuff is at that level, but
nah, bro. Fast X, like it's right there. How dare you?
I need to watch. I still need to watch 9, which I intend to do, and I do want to watch X.
As soon as they finish,
as
soon as they're done, I'm gonna watch all of them. I'm just gonna.
They'll never be done. That's the thing. Like
this
is the beginning of the end of the road. They say, right? But there's gonna be spin-offs, and TV shows and whatever.
He wants a spin-off where he's the main character, man. How asinine is that?
He probably just wants to get back to his roots, right? Because like there's a million freaking A-list actors in all the movies now. Like it's spread very thin. So I kind of get it where he's like, all right, well let's break off of the main thing, because the main thing, part of its identity is like we have a million characters in it now. So like, if he just breaks off, like, all right, we can maybe do a simpler like racing focused heist movie thing.
He's like, they're like this close to AI and Paul Walker back for a spinoff. I could feel it.
God. Yeah.
Family, he says, as a hologram comes up.
I mean, they just use his brother, don't they? That's what they did with a few
Paul
scenes.
Walker has a brother?
Yeah, they used his brother.
Who filled in for the stuff in, was it 6?
I don't. There's too many, Casey. I can't.
I think it was 6.
Cody Walker and Caleb Walker. Oh wow, that's amazing.
They both of them together make a Paul.
Put his face on him or something, and I'm like, it was a bit weird when it happened. Now it feels pretty like if they did it, would be like, yeah, to me at least, I would be like, yeah.
No, it would.
Where we're going?
It would decidedly be shitty if they kept trying to use Paul Walker's face, but then like
it would be. That is true.
Oh yeah, like I was surprised they didn't just bring his brother.
They used the brothers to finish, I think, some of his scenes because he did die like mid-production. So like
yeah.
So, and it was honestly sad. Like, and they did pay tribute to him with one of the worst songs at the end of that movie.
What was it?
Crap.
I don't remember.
Like,
crap.
Wanna see you again. Wanna see you again.
Oh.
I can't remember any of the words, but that's the song.
Yeah.
I think like Wiz Khalifa was in it or some shit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, with the technology, I wouldn't be surprised that it didn't. And like for the capitalism and like that's the thing. But like, yes, would it be morbid? Yes,
it would be very.
It is.
I don't think I could watch a movie that tried that sort of nonsense.
Thing is,
but they've also been doing this.
Do they care about Paul Walker nowadays? Talk about nostalgia bait, because I feel like the Venn diagram of people who watch Fast now and would totally kill to see Paul Walker again. It's just like a very confused middle ground of like, yeah. Like,
I
no,
mean, it
I
would
don't think they
be.
care now.
Like Paul
No,
Walker
I mean,
wasn't
this
even
all.
in that many of the movies. When
No,
you like at this point,
yeah.
Yep.
like when the series got popular again, like he had been in just 2 of them.
Yeah.
Vin
Yeah. He's
Diesel
been
had
in
been in
Yeah.
less.
one of them. Like
Yep. He's been in less fast movies than he's been in at this point. There's
yeah,
just so many of them nowadays.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the selling point would be, oh, look, he's back. How is he back? Oh, and then they'll be like, oh, we're using AI technology, like, to put him back in the universe,
that's
something like that.
gruesome.
No, people would show up to watch that, though. I
I'd
think they
watch a
would.
YouTube clip out of morbid
Yeah, I
curiosity.
wouldn't pay for it, but
Same way I
I'm
watched
sure
the
people
Tupac
would.
hologram. Like
what's that? What was the
the Tupac
Well,
yeah,
hologram
like
that
what was the
performed with
motive?
yeah.
Snoop Dogg
What was the
and
motivation behind that? Like
I don't know, bro. I have no
Didn't Bruce
idea.
Willis sign away something as well? Like they can use him?
Oh, I think
I don't know.
maybe.
Yeah, because
I'm
he's
not
sick
sure.
now, so he's probably not going to be in many more movies. So
Damn.
he signed stuff away, so they can probably use him in
Yeah,
the future, his
so
voice
his like
and
family
deepfake
could
and
be
stuff.
provided for when he's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
but they
like
did the same to what's his face in Rogue One. Like this is not new. It's just like it's just been a few places they've
Yeah.
like added
like
characters.
here
So
and there.
yeah. So I just assume we're gonna get a full-length movie of it eventually, like someone who's passed and they're like, "Look at this! Look at what we can do!" And then we'll see what
really they'll
society
put it
thinks
into
about
the
it.
plot. They'll tie that in.
Probably
Just be
that
like
could be a thing.
they'll very much acknowledge that it is them passing it off as AI. That's not like we're not saying this is really Paul Walker, for example,
Yeah,
but
like-
like
Yeah,
Dom
yeah.
is just
Like,
having a crisis
It's the
and he
bad
wishes
guy.
he could
We
talk.
hate
Yeah,
it. They're gonna kill
yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is not real, and yeah, they'll frame it as something else instead of just
Yeah.
very much. This is who you know and love. It's
Like
like
now,
no,
you're selling me on a movie that I would watch.
okay. I've done it. Oh God, all these ideas.
Yeah,
I'm
but
having during the writer's
that's what I
strike.
mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. And then I think all the shows have had their like season finales now. So I watched Yellow Jackets, and I'm still very concerned about that show because it's been greenlit for a third season, and like it just keeps like going. It's such an intense show, and I'm like, where are we going from here? It's like Game of Thrones, and it just keeps going forever. It's like, okay, so you're just gonna start killing people off now. That's what we're doing next to kind of top things.
Right.
And it's like, because you have not to like fully spoiled, but it's kind of obvious straight away. It's like you have some gore and you have cannibalism, like almost straight away, and it's like hinting at it constantly. And you have like dead. You do have some dead people. And it's just like, where are we? And this, like, magic, well, maybe magic, the wilderness. And it's like, I don't know. Where are we going? I like it, but you can't keep doing this. You got to stop somewhere.
Yeah, like every time it poses an answer to a lingering question, then you get 2 more
Yeah.
questions and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it gets exhausting.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm into it, but I'm also like, how many seasons can you do this? Because it's just gonna be like, oh, it's aliens eventually. Like it's gonna go to extreme because it's like it's already extreme. How can we make it more extreme? It's like, okay, I'm
Maybe they
worried.
only stop at one level of extreme. So like supernatural, yeah, there were cryptids, but ultimately it was Judeo-Christian based, right? And they stayed there. They
Yeah.
were weird. They got weird, but they stayed at that level of weird, and they fleshed it out more. So maybe Yellow
Didn't that
Jacket
show get
does
like
that.
super fourth wall breaky at some point?
Multiple times. Yes. What are you getting at?
Like is that doesn't count as Judeo? Like I feel like that's the level where
That was Loki, who is Gabriel. He's one of the 4 archangels. But yeah, the fourth wall breaky bits are intentional. I guess they're written in. Yeah.
All right.
But they essentially went into the whole like, yeah, it's the ultimate fight between God and the devil, but they stayed there because it was getting wacky leading up to it all. It's like, all right, first cryptids, like the Wendigos and all that stuff,
They
but
had
then
a
eventually
Scooby-Doo
it's like,
crossover episode too. I remember.
did they?
Did
Yeah.
they?
my God.
Oh,
When they were,
I don't remember
it was
that.
really good. It was really good because like they were animated and like the Scooby-Doo gang essentially became mature because it was a supernatural show. So like there were actual like dead bodies and them cursing and Fred fucking Daphne and it was He's great.
Don't remember that. That's amazing. Yeah, no, but they kind of just parked their weirdness in Judeo-Christian, and they kind of stay there. Maybe Yellow Jackets does that, maybe not. Like some shows will do that. Once Upon a Time, kinda.
That show was good until it wasn't, and then it just very much wasn't.
Oh no!
I blame the Frozen season. Once they put Frozen in there, like everything just went straight to hell.
Oh god! I mean, I recommend Yellow Jackets, but it you just get more and more concerned because first season you're like, this is great. This like I'm super into this, and then you get the second season, you're like, okay, I think we're going somewhere, and it's like, okay, it's just going up, and it's like, where are we going? When is this gonna stop? I don't get it. Like I'm worried. What is this? This show's gonna turn to shit eventually. That's how I feel, basically. So I'm just like on the ride, going like, holding on, being like, when is it happening? That's what I feel with it.
No, that's fair.
That's so funny. Because no one stops on the first inkling of caca. We're just like, oh no, it's getting bad. Oh, it's gonna be so shitty.
Yeah, you hold out hope because it was good.
You're just holding on.
You do.
Like, will it turn around? Will they?
People matter.
Like, well, after this arc is done, they'll get back to the thing that was good about it, and then like sometimes they just never do.
That's so funny. It's like, I'm about to get covered in so much shit, aren't I?
Basically. Oh, Discord is mentioning The Expanse. Yeah, we've been watching The Expanse. I don't like it.
No.
I really don't like
Which
it.
Is that one? I'm gonna say.
The Expanse is one of the best TV shows I think I've seen in the last 10 years.
I mean, we're gonna watch the last 2 episodes of season 1. My issue with it is I feel so disconnected from it at all times because I'm super into like the story and characters. If they didn't jump around, the editing is like you just jump around. You don't have time to get to know the characters. They're always in. There's just things happening.
Yeah, there's
there's just world building. I call it world building the show because I feel like and I can't connect to it because I'm like I'm just here and you're over there, and that's it. I don't feel any connection to it.
It's like
it's just not for me.
It's like what is it, like the second season of Game of Thrones where the Starks are all over the place, and like you're seeing a lot of different stories play out with a bunch of different characters who used to be together. And like you can't wait till they come back, and it took like 4 or 5 to like 3, 4 seasons for them to actually come back together. The Expanse kind of starts with all your main players apart because all the stuff that happens at first you don't see that big picture, but eventually all these disparate things mean a whole lot to the actual plot and what's going on with all these different players. So I 100% agree how disjointed it can feel, especially like up front. But like, God, does that story come together? Like, it's probably one of my favorite sci-fi things I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's why we chose to watch it. But the first season has not made a good impression. That's the issue for me. So I don't feel okay. Oh, it gets good in the second season. I'm like, so?
Yeah, like by then, like you don't care about anyone, right?
Yeah, I don't care. So I'm just like, okay, we're gonna finish it, and then I don't want to watch it anymore because I don't care about anyone. They could all die. I can be like, yeah, it's fine. Like, and they just threw in like 2 random characters in one episode, like hauling rocks and stuff. And it's like, and they had names and everything, and we spent a lot of times with that. And then they just like, oh, he's in space, and the other guy's just like blew himself up. And it's like, what was the point of this?
That stuff matters later, and like I get it.
Oh my god,
I get it.
You watch it backwards.
It's super disjointed. I get it, but man, does it come together? That's all I can say. It's like it comes together. Like it makes a ton of sense. It's a great sci-fi universe. See it.
I'm sure it is, but the first season is so focused on world building, and I feel nothing. Like I don't care. I want because how I describe it is. It's all about the world and the characters are just there. Usually it's the other way around. It's all about the characters. We get to know about them and then the world builds out from there. Here's just the other way. Like the world is the main character. And I don't like that. I'm not interested in that. I don't care. Because I like people. So I just I can't connect to it like at all. I'm just like going there. Oh, they met. What fun. Where are we now? And like when we're watching it, since it's so disjointed at times, every one of us are going, wait, no, okay. And so everyone's confused at some point while we're watching as well. So I'm just like, what? Yeah. I don't like. It's fine.
That's
I
fair.
get if
That's fair.
people
I
like
get
it, but it's just not for me. Oh, I've been playing Octopath again. I played it a bit before and just stopped for some reason, so I
The
picked it up
first one?
again, and yeah, and it's great. Like it scratches that JRPG itch real well. It's just it's a lot of talking, but it's a JRPG.
Yeah, JRPG,
Yeah. It has a few things that I find annoying because every one of them, like every character has their own individual like skill they can do in town. Like you can like steal from people, you can purchase things from people that aren't merchants, and so you get all of these characters. You have 8 characters in the end, right? And they all have their own thing. So you can go up to a townsperson and go like, and you just go through the list of doing things, like inquire, purchase, and it's like, oh god, because that's
So-
also the issue with JRPG. So you feel like you have to do it.
So only a specific character can do any like one particular action
Yeah.
with any NPC, but they can all
Yeah.
do it with that NPC.
Yeah, you have to have them in your party as well. So if you don't have them in your party, because you can only have 4 in your party at a time, then you would have to switch them out with someone else, and then go back to the townsperson and try. And it's like I can't. That's too much. That's just too much. You don't have to do them all. Like I decided to just like, okay, these are the people I have. I'll do it. But it's a lot of like, I feel like that's kind of busy work, but you also feel like my OCD is like, you gotta do this. You gotta talk to everyone, and you gotta do all these things. So that's a bit annoying. But it's also surprisingly a difficult game, I feel. It's weirdly difficult, I feel. And I'm
Difficult how?
used to playing JRPG. It's just like, it can be a bit punishing. They have a lot, like, I feel like they have a lot of HP. Even normal enemies can have a lot of HPs. But the bosses.
No, that's right.
HPs?
Hit points, health points, like that's right. You can
Yeah.
say that.
It just
It does
sounds
sound
weird.
funny. It does.
But yeah, the bosses, they have so much HP. It's just like it can be a bit punishing because I guess in the beginning that's the most difficult part, of course, because depending on which character, because you decide which character you start with out of the 8, and you don't know, and they all have their individual quests to start with. So you have to finish that before you can travel out and find other people. So if you start with the healer one, her boss for her dungeon is so difficult. Like you would have to grind. So I tried that last time, and I was like, okay, I'm not starting with this lady. She's the only healer so far. But it's impossible to kill something with her in the beginning. So,
Like,
and you don't know that.
Is not grinding part of the JRPG experience though? Like
Yeah, but this is just so you can get out of the town, the first town. Like you're stuck there until you finish the dungeon with one person. Usually you can
Okay.
there's a lot of story happening and stuff like that, but there's an end boss in to get every character, and in there you can't go anywhere else while you're doing their thing. You have to finish it. So if you choose to start with this lady, you will have to grind for, I don't know, days probably to be able to beat this thing alone. Like I feel like it's impossible. It's not worth it. Because even with a full party, I found it difficult. That specific boss. Yeah.
Is there like a recommended order, or is it because like that?
No.
That's no, because that sounds like
No.
you shouldn't start there. But like if they
Yeah.
say like, oh, start anywhere, it's fine. Then
No, it's just like,
lying.
look, you have all these characters. I would like, I didn't see anything like that was recommended at least.
Huh.
It was just like you just read the like, oh, this is this person. They live in this town. This is what they do, and it's like okay, because some of them are clearly better than the others, like damage wise, like clearly. So it's a bit strange that you get so little guidance in the beginning, because as soon as you get out of the first time, then it's kind of easier, because then you can just go around and like, oh, I'll pick everyone up, like that works out. So I do also think it's funny when you meet a boss, what they've done is they just make them bigger. So you meet like a normal dude, but he's a boss. He's just is this like the Iron Giant? It's like, it's so weird. Like, it's such a weird choice. They don't have to do that. It's so, and you're like, you have your little team, and then he's just like towering, like so tall. And I just like, what is this choice?
That's pretty funny, actually.
It is funny, but it's also so strange. Because when I saw it first, I was like, I get it, he's the boss. Like, we talked to him and started the fight.
That's what made him a boss. He's just bigger than most people.
Yeah. And then I'm playing Vampire on stream, which that is a good game. I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of it that's like, the writing is real fucking dumb at times, and Jonathan's such a sad sack a lot of times.
Is that the main character?
He has such weird interactions with people. Like, he has to tell you every time that he's a doctor, all the time. I'm Jonathan Reed. I'm a doctor.
Like, he's studied for that degree. Like, you're gonna call him doctor.
I would.
He's also a vampire and murders people. So
yeah, if I go to Starbucks, you're putting doctor on that cup. Yeah.
But it's like, he's like kind of awkward because I don't know, because he's so dapper. At least he's a gentleman and stuff like that. He talks real posh, but then he's just so awkward in interactions sometimes because the writing is kind of off. And the acting isn't correct, so it's both funny, but it's also like, oh, Jonathan, get out of here. Because I liken him to like Ethan from Resident Evil. Like, he's that kind of sometimes that kind of dumb, to me. But yeah, and also because the first time I played Vampire before, like ages ago, and I played the good round, so I didn't kill anyone. Now I'm killing everyone. I'm doing 100% kill run. Because, fun.
That's what you do.
Yeah, I'm a vampire. Why not? And it's so much. You get OP because you get more points if you bite people. You get more XP to spend.
Yeah, that's usually what they do, right? Yeah, like, it's always easier to do the kill everyone run. Like, it's like the challenge run is the not kill anyone run.
Yeah, but it's so difficult compared to, like, I have so many points now. I don't know what to spend them on. Like, you get to that point, you're like, I don't want any of this. Almost, I've almost killed everyone. So we're getting there.
Now you get to feel the real tragedy of being a vampire. You'll always be alone.
Yeah, I mean, he also, it's a whole thing with his family, so he's kind of alone anyway. And then I killed the last one in his house, which was the butler, which was a bit sad.
Like, that was his own butler?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're like rich. His family's like rich.
Oh, it's okay. He was a rich butler.
Yeah.
Why did he kill the butler?
He didn't just turn him. He's like, hey, it's time to die. This tea was cold.
No, you can't turn people. That's the thing. You can only turn certain people, and it's very few. Otherwise you can just kill them. That's the thing. You just eat them. So, if I could turn everyone, that would be fun. Just make all baby vampires, but you can't do that. Anymore. Yeah.
Comes with its own problems.
Yeah. But there's also the Spanish flu going around, so.
Does that affect vampires?
No, but it's like, we have the epidemic, and then people keep dying of blood loss. I do think it's funny, because it's like, the epidemic killed. It's like, no. Like, that's not how the Spanish flu works. He's drained of all his blood.
Okay,
and sometimes they go, a murder happened. It's like, yeah, murder did happen. You saw me, like, take this person somewhere else, and then he didn't come back. It's also very... Because you can walk past... You mesmerize people, take them to somewhere, like, hidden, and then you, like, kill them. But you can just walk past a lot of people, and they're like... No one says anything. So I'm just like, stuff.
That's because vampires aren't real. Like, what would they say?
He's a doctor.
No, but that's the thing. They know vampires. Several of them know vampires are real. Before, like, we've seen them. Yeah, and there's like skulls, which are like lower vampires that are more like ghouls, I guess. So they're just roaming the streets. So a lot of people know about them, I feel. But no one... I killed everyone in the hospital Jonathan works at. No one says anything. No one thinks it's me. And I'm like, I'm the new person, but no one suspects me.
Because he's a doctor. Like, you wouldn't, you wouldn't
suspect a doctor. No.
He's a famous doctor as well. He did a blood transfusion thing, method, something.
It is Morbius. Yeah.
Yeah.
what I'm hearing so far.
Uh,
Morbid time.
but I do recommend it. It is a fun time. But I
Okay.
do recommend the 100% kill run though.
Nice. I will keep that in mind.
It's my
Yeah.
general run. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't
I
be
do
coerced
both.
into a pacifism run. Like, no.
That's interesting because people usually go like, "Oh, I can't be bad."
No, I'm not trying to set out to be bad. It's like I can't be bothered. Is the thing. Like if it takes too much effort to kill you, I'm not going to kill you. If it takes too much effort to not kill you, I'm going to kill you. Like I'm
Okay.
a
Yeah.
straight line of just I can't be bothered to go either way. That's why
Okay.
I didn't care too much in Dishonored, where it's like, oh, I got to sneak around. Like no, I don't.
Oh.
I don't have to sneak at all. I'm like
Oh no, I didn't sneak.
Dishonored,
whereas in
either.
like I
yeah.
was doing such a good pacifist run. Like there were no rats anywhere. And then I read a thing like, oh, after this level, it doesn't matter what you do. You can do your kills as much as you want. I was like, oh, cool. I'm past that level. It was a lie. Like it was like the one
Oh
level. This was one
no.
level after that, and that one level
Okay.
where I killed everybody like turned my whole ending to the bad ending.
Yeah.
Well, look at that, yeah. And Thief 2, you could kill everyone or you could just knock them out, but it was like the systems were fun enough to where it did feel good to just knock everyone out instead of killing them.
Mm.
Yeah, but I find most systems with their pacifist and their, I guess, whatever the opposite, the bloodthirsty run, there tends to be no different outside of just your arbitrary, oh, I can't be mean. Mine is just, I can't be bothered. Like,
Yeah.
you're not doing that to me.
Yeah, there's usually like the game design usually leans one way or the other. And
Yeah,
if they
it's black and
don't,
white.
And if they don't, then they make it mad arbitrary. Like the first thing that comes to mind is Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain, was like you have 2 of every gun. One is lethal and one is non-lethal. But they work exactly the same way. The guy just has Z's over his head or he doesn't move ever again.
Yeah, that's what I do. I always play the good route first, and if I like the game enough, I play the bad route. Typically. Because the games are always designed like you go full on one way or the other. You can't do the middle thing. It's like you're gonna miss out on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's on them.
I mean, yeah, but I also miss out on things. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. A bunch of folks pro Thief 2 in the chat.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it is. As someone who, like, again, I can't be bothered. Thief 2 is just so immersive, and the mechanics and the story is so fun that you do find yourself as Garrett. That's the name of the main character, where he's just, I don't do this because I want to. I do this because I need to pay my rent. It's in that Victorian, or even being a thief is a profession kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you do feel a little clever getting one over on everyone. You do feel like, they're all gonna wake up and just like, what happened to all this? And it is very involved in that way. Yeah, you didn't thief as well. And as you said, that also gives you more opportunity to express yourself when the consequences are the same. So like if you just smack them with the little blackjack, they fall asleep. Whereas if you stab them through, they're dead. But also you kind of have to fight, and he's not good at fighting. That's more or less what entices you to be sneaky. In Dishonored, you can very much just kick people's ass.
Yeah.
In Thief 2, you're a horrible fighter. You're a great thief, a horrible fighter. And it's those kind of systems that make me more inclined to just like, okay, I'm not being a pacifist. Yeah, I'm not being a pacifist because I don't want to hurt anyone. It's because I can't hurt anyone. I'm bad at fighting.
They will hurt me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay, so with that, we'll move on to our topics proper. We probably won't go through every single thing announced in this PlayStation State of Play showing.
No. Yeah.
But also, I kind of more so want to talk about like the general vibe of the showing, because like there was a lot of criticism saying that it really wasn't a great showing for PlayStation itself. There were a lot of third-party things talked about and revealed. Xbox did a cheeky tweet immediately after that said like, "Oh, look at all the great stuff coming to Xbox." And it was like the bulk of everything that was announced at the Sony show, like just minutes before.
Oh no.
So
that's kind of that's a good rip. But at the
It's
same
good.
time, I'm like, you shouldn't be talking right now.
No, it's
You
like, oh,
shouldn't be
Xbox.
saying anything right
If
now.
that wasn't such a good tweet, we'd be coming at you sideways right
Yeah.
now. But that was a really good tweet. Their social media people are excellent over there. But at the same time, almost like a day or two after that, we got news that Naughty Dog would be delaying its The Last of Us multiplayer offering, right? Which is a thing that's been in development for a very long time now. But like they released a statement saying that, you know, they're like it's still coming along. You know, they want to get out a product that people can be proud of, et cetera, et cetera. But then also Jason Schreier with his sleuthing apparently heard from sources that there were reports that Sony in particular kind of removed resources from that project. So it's like they're kind of deprioritizing it in general. And like it's weird because in that showcase that we were about to talk about, Sony announced like 3 or 4 live service games that are like kind of tied to them, right? So it's almost like, do they want to let these sort of third party, second party, in the case of Bungie's Marathon, which was announced, things go out and see how they do before they commit to something tied to one of their first party brands? Or are they saying like, well, we have something for this market, we don't want this anymore? Or like is it just not coming together? Like, I feel like there's a lot of factors here. So everything we say is gonna be speculation for one, but
right.
Like we can start there, then I guess move on to the other stuff that was announced. So like, well, what's your guys' take on like the position of that Last of Us multiplayer thing, these other Sony multiplayer projects, and like Sony's outlook on the multiplayer live service genre in general? Because it's been kind of rough for a lot of other games.
I forgot that was coming, and it was weird that they felt the need to be like, "Hey, we're here." It's like, okay, yeah,
right. Without
it's
even
like,
they never had a release date to begin with. It's delayed.
No.
I like. What do you mean you're late? You never announced the time to begin with.
yeah. So
Well,
I don't know if like
I
that's
think
like
it's in that
panic.
vein. It's like because we saw all these other announcements and all these other third party things. It's like, hey, whatever happened to the Last of Us thing that you guys have been working on? Like, is that
Yeah,
ever
did
coming
people
out?
at them?
No one cared about factions.
I didn't care. I'm sure someone asked. Like, I'm sure that's why they were compelled to say something.
Just one person. It's like, hey, what happened to that thing you were making? It's probably like your Lego 2K Drive video where you said it feels like it's come out so late, like they might just can it. So I feel like they're either gonna can The Last of Us or they're gonna slow development down until The Last of Us 2 show comes out.
Well,
so it's more timely.
To be fair, I do think they were pushed on this because I think Jason Schreier was getting info. So like stuff was leaking about the fact that development had been scaled down, and then they had to make the statement that said like, "Hey, you guys heard that we were getting scaled down. So don't worry about that. It's getting a delay, yeah, but it's still coming." Like that's kind of the vibe of the message that they sent out. So like they did get pressure put on it. Like this didn't come out of nowhere.
True. But it is worrying that they moving resources away from it though, because it's been in development for a long time, and now you're taking resources from it, and it's not, it's still coming, but like in 10 years or like, because how will you then put resources back eventually, or what's the plan then? I just think it's all pretty worrying.
Yeah, I don't think this game's coming. Is my
Yeah,
take on this.
that's basically.
Like I don't think they wanted the information that they were scaling down and taking resources
Yeah.
from it to ever come out. Like they would not have announced this, I don't think, if folks didn't get wind of it.
Yeah.
So like they're just doing damage control because they just announced a bunch of stuff, and I guess it's a bad look to be like, oh well, we're canceling this thing quietly that should have been covered, because then that's an Xbox move, right? Like Xbox is the company that has a thing that's just been in development hell forever, and then Xbox goes, all right, we're not going to release this anymore. Sorry, guys. Or if they do release it, it's kind of a big joke. So Sony would have preferred that you forgot about it like you did.
Yeah.
Is my
That's
guess.
the one for that daggone Jason Schreier. I don't know who he seduced to get that information.
Yeah, that man has sources on sources.
Yeah.
That's the James Bond of video games right there. No, it's spoiling tomorrow's cold take a little bit. It is just kind of like this new environment where we see multiplayer games are just kind of always promising, yeah, we still exist, yeah, there's still content, but there's really no content. The content is the players, and that they can just sit there always hoping for the game to exist, for the patch to come that'll finally satisfy me, where they just keep on dropping more stuff while they, chill on a half-assed asset drop with microtransactions, etc. Like the state of multiplayer gaming right now, I used to have a multiplayer problem. I didn't think video games were real if they didn't have multiplayer. Like I just did multiplayer gaming, and I like weaned myself off of it, but I always had the itch. Now I don't have the itch anymore after having played some of these modern multiplayer games where I feel like, look, season pass, look, battle pass, look,
Yeah.
daily event. I hate when people say, I gotta log on to do my dailies. I'm like, what? They pay you or something? What's going on here? What is that? No, it's just
So you
something to
get the
do.
points.
The points can go somewhere. Like, I don't need things to do. I'm not short on time. I'm not an immortal vampire doctor who doesn't know what to do with his free time, right? Because all of his doctoring information is just completely out of date now, considering he's back from 1812 or whatever. Yeah, no, these games just have things to do, things where you could spend your money on while you're here. But there is no core. There just is no game, really. And I'm sensing that with this new, it was, I think, Concord, Fair Game $, Soap Stars.
Foam Stars?
Foam Stars.
Foam
yeah.
Stars. Soap Stars.
Splatoon-like.
Yeah.
That
Soap
is that one?
That's Square Enix.
I know that's Square Enix, but is that one free to play?
I don't know. But there was another
not.
one. What was
I
it?
don't know.
I mean,
Concord Fair Game.
I'm trying to think of just the ones in the showcase because there are more than that even. But like Marathon was the Bungie one.
Yeah.
Marathon, that's the one I'm missing out on.
Yeah.
These extraction shooters and stuff like that, where I
Yeah.
go, well done. You're just kind of trying to cash in on the trend from these IPs that had nothing to do with multiplayer to begin with. It's the state of multiplayer gaming. As someone who genuinely had, like, that's all I considered gaming. It's just sad, and it's also starting to get into some single player gaming. Remember when they got laughed at, Xbox One did, for you always have to be online. And it's all right, we're going to get rid of that feature.
It lost them that entire console generation.
They had no reason to do that back then, but now they do have a reason with, like, well, we can give you more patches, more content. It's just another excuse to have you always online. They now have a reasonable reason to have you always online. And you're just gonna get these kind of dookie games. Overwatch 2, look at it. Like the state of multiplayer games right now is frankly embarrassing.
Yeah.
Except for Fortnite. As much as you may not like it, they know the people are the content.
Yeah, people.
But they provide you the stuff.
Having fun with Fortnite.
Yeah.
Like there's no
they
denying
give you
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like, the state of multiplayer gaming when it comes to new entries, like people releasing new multiplayer things, are having a rough go of it. But that's partially because of things like Fortnite. Like Fortnite is a long-running, well-produced, super popular live service game. And when you have a good live service game, those people don't leave. Or if they leave, they come back after a certain amount of time. Like, it's hard to make new experiences like that when all the good ones soak up literally every second of your day. Like, there's Fortnite, there's Destiny 2, there's I sound biased, but Rainbow Six Siege is one of them. Like, it's a game that you play forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, just look at Nick.
That's why.
Yeah, like Nick went back. Yeah.
I think the last like decent multiplayer game to come through was Marvel Snap, because it knows while you're doing your dailies, while you're doing your season passes, while you're committing your life to forever, there is like a minute at a time where you don't have something to do, and Marvel Snap fills in that minute. Ben Bro knows he's monetized your pennies and your seconds, while these other games are fighting for your hours, your days, your weeks, your months, your years.
Yeah,
you know, that's
they got in where they fit it.
I think that is it. I think he has finally just plugged that multiplayer hole where you could essentially have a game that lasts you forever. And then Ben Brode's like, me too.
Talon Baratheon says Sea of Thieves does the live service thing very well. Yeah, there aren't a lack of good live service games that have dedicated fan bases right now. And the thing is, these games launched 6, 7, sometimes 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So when you have a brand new one that's like, hey, now we want all your time, like you really got to do something to unseat that sort of dedication, because some folks have been playing for 10 years. Like, it's only going to get harder.
It's kind of okay with PvE because they do content drop, you eat it all up, and then you do have some time.
Yeah,
now
it's
Diablo,
it's not an infinite game.
Yeah, but multiplayer gaming, online multiplayer PvP gaming is determined to have you there every day. Like, you're crucial to the matchmaking, you're crucial to all that stuff. So it's just a weird buy-in that they're trying to put all their resources into these multiplayer games. Why would you even make 3 that compete with each other?
Yeah,
at least
that's wild.
Tencent used to buy out their competitors. They would like, yeah, okay, you have a MOBA too. Let's buy it. Let's trash it. We only sell this thing in India because we want League of Legends everywhere else.
Nick DOG with an interesting question here says, are we putting MMO style like WoW or EverQuest in the same multiplayer category as live service like Fortnite?
I would not. I would say there's a gap, like 2019 and onwards. That's when it started getting different, and I blame Chris Wilson because he, like Christopher Nolan, ruined multiplayer games. He did Path of Exile so
Nolan
well.
Also ruined multiplayer games.
Also did no. Christopher Nolan ruined superhero movies because of how well he did his.
Okay, gotcha.
Chris Wilson ruined multiplayer gaming because of how well he did Path of Exile. If you go back to his GDC talk, designing a game to last forever, you can just see point for point CEOs are like, do this for my multiplayer game right now, and it's just been it's been going downhill since then. So 2019 and onwards, it's been getting worse. Like, I guess as those games inspired by that talk would be coming out right around now.
I'm just wondering, are we ever gonna move away from this? Because it just feel like they keep announcing new ones all the time, and it's like no one wants this anymore. I feel.
Well, Dick DOG, I think, with another really good point here, it says they're capitalizing on the fact that players that focus hard on PvP tend to be younger and more aggressively attached to their online performance, reflecting their actual worth in real life. So I think that might be the reason why we keep getting new versions of this. They're trying to capture a younger and younger audience before they get sucked into like maybe something else.
It's old dudes. It's old men. You even said your son doesn't like aggression. Like, he doesn't like failure.
Well, no, yeah,
right?
he doesn't. You're right.
Yeah, no, my brother's like that. My brother is how old am I? He's 18 now, and I've got a younger brother than him. They play like Roblox and Fortnite for the creative stuff, not the competitive bits. This is a bunch of old guys that are probably buying into Dr. Disrespect, who's saying we need more AAA games that can compete with Call of Duty. Man who only plays COD, upset about the state of gaming. Like, yeah, no, these younger people aren't as competitive as I would say my crowd was.
From what I've seen, the younger kids are not big on their KD ratio.
Yeah, it's almost embarrassing to just check my KD as they're trying to mock someone who's pushing 40. So.
But also, it becomes a thing of like Netflix. If you have too many options, you're gonna pick none.
Yeah,
I feel it's too many. Like, oh, my friends, you go where your friends are. Typically, if you're in that kind of, and if you're young, then you're gonna grow out of the game eventually. So then that game will have to keep pushing things and catching new younger players, and it's like, it's not stable. I feel it's such a gamble, but they keep trying, and I don't understand why.
Because money, like the ones that are working are making money hand over fist, and it's like other companies look at that with such jealousy. They're like, where is ours? It's like, look,
it's also
ours would require us to literally steal every single one of their players. So unless you're willing to attempt that, like, we're not gonna have one. But they're like, well, why can't we steal all their players?
It's also a lot of self-preservation from the C-suite. So, like, if you hire an accountant fresh off of college and you hire some PR guys, some HR stuff, and you go, okay, bring me Overwatch. These guys will not just go, no, you can't have Overwatch. They will make it someone else's fault. Yeah, like the developers aren't putting in the work. They're not listening to me. Then, like, it is just in the middle. You get this rot. Because you have these people trying to appease investors and trying to put out this product, and nobody's happy. They are just becoming the new restaurants. They will very quickly settle out, but a lot of them have to burn at this point. A lot of studios, a lot of great developers, a lot of great workers in the space are going to be burned because of this. And at that point, the CEOs will finally realize, you know what? I can't just scream out, "Bring me Fortnite!" Like, it just doesn't happen that way. Lampy. Nick did say he wants to see more FPS games. That's because Nick and I come from the time that romanticized FPS games, because you could come home from school, you could crank out Halo, Battlefield, Call of Duty, and they would each have their own separate sort of identities, right?
Yeah.
And now it all just feels the same, and you kind of miss those glory days. But it is this big AAA FPS culture kind of dominates the content creator. Or at least it's the loudest. You've got FaZe, you've got Dr. Disrespect, you've got PUBG was the big thing. Ninja and Fortnite, right? Everybody wants this shooter because it's very easy to get people into it. Like, we brought Drake in. We brought, who was it on Fortnite, that live concert?
Ariana.
Marshmello, and then
There's a lot of them.
Travis Scott.
Travis Scott,
Yeah,
all
Travis
that kind of
Scott.
stuff. It is.
Yeah.
FPSs are just the pop. This is the pop culture of gaming, and people are trying to bring that back. I don't know. It's a little embarrassing almost when you see these grown ass men screaming, "Where's the next COD killer?" I'm like, just play Celeste or something, dude. Calm down.
Also, on the note of FaZe, it's not going great for FaZe. Let me tell you, Jesus.
Yeah. That just shows the CEOs trying to buy culture and forgetting that they came from that hype beast. Snort a line of G Fuel kind of culture.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's them, dude. Like that whole culture thing. Instead, they bought the what's her name from Stranger Things?
Oh yeah, I can't.
What was her name? The girl that died early on. Grace. No.
She's a streamer.
Is it Grace?
Baby, I can't remember.
Good.
But it was like FaZe needs more women, and then it's like, surprise, it's this lady.
Yeah, it's like it's this one, and then she openly says, "I'm only here because I was on Stranger Things." Like that's the only reason they want me. It's almost like they're trying to be The Rock.
Yeah, she
This is what the fans want.
It's like but they don't have any money, so I don't know how it's gonna work out. It's going well for their teams, but their actual org is just like dying. I think the stock is at, what is it?
55 cents. Right
yeah,
now.
55 cents. It's
dropping.
like, yeah.
FaZe used to be part of the culture. Like that's where we discovered Macklemore before he was big. Like they were tied in to pop essentially.
Sorry, what?
But yeah, like Macklemore when he was first starting up, they would do these montages called FaZe Illcams. They would do one like once every month or something like that, and it would have a song with like a hot new artist because it was hard to get DMCA stuff back then. And Macklemore showed up on one of those, and that's when people were like, "Oh my God, here we go! All right, look at this guy." A lot of artists got their start on like FaZe Illcams and stuff like that. So they were definitely part of that hype beast culture. But now it's so like you're men in suits trying to buy into Stranger Things, and it seems so out of touch.
I mean, they did have Snoop Dogg for a little bit.
Did they? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they had
right.
him.
Yeah,
he did one thing. Yeah,
that's
and
right.
then he was like never seen again with FaZe. So that was very funny.
Like Snoop has people probably telling him like, "Hey, you should probably get in on this esports shit."
Yeah,
I've seen him in some very strange like tech talks where
I
he's
love
just
Snoop.
on the stage with like a bunch of young investors. And he's
he's
like,
I love Snoop, but like, have you seen his streams?
Where he like leaves the camera on for like
hours. It comes back and he's like, "I better not be streaming right now." Oh shit!
That was very funny. Yeah,
I love Snoop. Like, let that man go to sleep, please.
Is he that old now? Oh Jesus!
Snoop is an old man. Yes.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay. We can get into some of the other stuff discussed here. We'll let you guys pick and choose. Like you can look through the list for a little bit. What jumps out at you that you have either a burning disdain for or are like genuinely excited? I'm curious, like stuff that gives you strong emotions. We'll skip anything that's middling here.
Where does list at?
If you click the link, you should be able to scroll down.
I guess I watched it before. It's of course Destiny, and like, what are they doing with that? I mean, more Nathan Fillion, always nice, but I'm also like, how?
Like they're bringing back Cade 6. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, how? Wow.
I'm very intrigued by that because the story of Destiny has been good. Folks were kind of down on this most recent one. I have not finished it, but I liked all of the setup in it. But I will say, like, the couple of cutscenes that I did watch as I was going through the story mode didn't make a lot of sense. It didn't make a lot of sense. But I was waiting for a payoff, but who knows?
I'll see. Dragon's Dogma 2, pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
That's cool. Street Fighter still, but
Street Fighter.
We already know about that.
What principle is that?
On principle. Well, whenever anyone goes, I'm going back to my roots. I'm like, you're gonna fuck it up, but I'll watch. There's been a few that like, I'm gonna get back to roots. Like, you're about to show me just how out of touch you are, because back to roots would be bringing back Patrice Désilets, and he ain't there no more.
That's interesting.
Y'all sued him because he was trying to make a competitor.
Well, Patrice Désilets technically only made the first one, right?
First one and Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed, not Brotherhood. No, yeah, Brotherhood, not Revelations. He made those. Essentially the bangers.
Okay. So the first three.
Yeah, first 3. Because he said I'm not making. He said I'm not making more than 3. The initial plan was to make Altair, Ezio, and then a modern day one with Desmond. But then they're like, we could keep making money though.
Yeah, by
and
just staying in the
he
past,
said,
right?
nah, bro. I'm making
Yeah.
3, and then I'm making my own game, which was gonna be some like 1812 Amsterdam or something like that. Like it was, yeah. And the trailer for that was sick, but they kept trying to sue him to make him stop making that game. Yeah.
I don't know. I like the idea of new people taking a crack at like the core of what made the first Assassin's Creed like really fun and interesting. Like, and the fact that that game already exists, like they're not doing it for the first time, means that they can fix everything that was wrong with that. Because the first game is actually not good. The first Assassin's Creed is super ambitious. It's not a good, fun video game.
First one's
they didn't get it
demo.
to in Brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm very excited about how this new age take on that system will work. So yeah, I hope it's good.
See, my issue is the reason it worked is because they gave one guy in his select team that made Prince of Persia all the resources all the time. Yeah, having new blood's nice, but not if you got some like old suit. Like, give it to me, boy. Give me Assassin's Creed 1.
Well, I mean, this feels a little different than that because the version of Assassin's Creed that exists today still exists. Like, they're like, hey, we're gonna do Assassin's Creed Red.
Yeah,
we're gonna do
that's
like
been
so
interesting.
like they're like, okay, so that big huge team can still focus on the thing that we know we want it to be, but we'll let these guys over here do what they want because there's a little voice in the back of our heads that says like, maybe there's some fatigue here. Let's see if we can recapture some of the magic. So like, I don't know. It feels like they're gonna be able to do what they want with this initiative to like find their roots and like like they have the green light as opposed to the suit saying like, no, it has to be this. Oh, stick a microtransaction in it. You know what I mean? They have their bigger version of it in order to do that with.
Should go back to those 2D platformers. Those were the days. Assassin's Creed China, Assassin's Creed India. I joke those were hot trash.
No, those were not that bad.
Those were so bad. Go back and play them.
I like China. I played China. I like China. Because I also played Mark of the Ninja. It was just a copycat of Mark of the Ninja.
Yeah, Mark of the Ninja is great. And then I was like, what is this?
Those weren't as good as Mark of the Ninja, but they were okay.
Absolutely not. Yeah. According to this list, Foam Stars, Plucky Squire. I've been looking forward to Plucky Squire.
Yeah, Plucky Squire looks
that has
amazing.
always looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing from Plucky Squire has ever looked like, it's always been like, oh my god, this is great. So yeah.
Amazing.
I think Phantom Blade looks interesting, but I'm scared of it.
I'm super skeptical of that.
Yeah, I'm just like,
of, what's it called? Black Myth. These Chinese RPG Souls-likes look sick. I've not played one though.
Yeah, not a single one of them have released yet. That like they get these super flashy, really impressive trailers that look like gameplay, but like
it look like games.
Yeah, like it's like this doesn't look like live gameplay. It's like this trailer is just meant to look like gameplay. Yeah. Like that's the feel I get. And like Phantom Blade Zero looks amazing in that regard, but it also doesn't look like a person is playing that video game. Like it just looks like a bunch of animations strung together.
Yeah, it feels a bit scripted.
So like I would need to see a lot more of that before I get any sort of hype. On the contrary though, Ghost Runner 2, that looks amazing to me.
No, thank you.
Like I get it. The first one is like stupid difficult.
Yeah.
I never played one.
You never tried it? It's a first person like hack and slash platformer. It's like
platform, yeah.
It's like Mirror's Edge meets Celeste.
Yeah, I said that during the showcase. Like that looks sick. I was like,
it was incredibly fun and incredibly challenging. The first one.
Yeah, it's so difficult.
But the second one is just more of it. Like there's scenes where you're on a fucking motorcycle, but you're also deflecting with the sword. Like I'm really hyped for that. I think that's gonna be
like running down a building with the motorcycle.
I think that's gonna be like a hit.
Are you technically just like still falling? Or are you actually
right? Yeah, like are you gaining speed by? Like, you just hit terminal velocity already? Can you beat terminal velocity by driving a motorcycle down a building? That's my question.
Yeah, Tom Cruise will try it. Really.
We'll call a physicist.
Oh, what if that's it? It's like, yo, Tom, I saw this thing in a video game. You got to try it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna tell you run this motorcycle down the freaking wall.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
And then
Ghost Runner
he
2,
died.
like, also the fact that the first game was executed so well, it was a light experience. Like, you could tell like a team with not the most money in the world put it together, but like they made such
that's true.
a core, fundamentally fun mechanical experience. A second run at that, I think this is going to be fantastic. I'm very hyped for that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
This
Immortals
sort
of Avium.
yeah,
What?
okay, we can talk about that.
That just looks like Forspoken, doesn't it? Am
It
I
does
wrong?
look like Forspoken. It's
Like
at
it
least
has
a
Gina
different thing.
Torres, but yeah, but it's also generic
It's
AF
also got the
looking.
kid, and the thing is, I think I'm the only person who has watched this show. But that Netflix series, Never Have I Ever, that follows like the little Indian high schooler.
Oh yeah, I
true.
haven't watched it, but I know
Like
which
her
one it
main
is.
love interest is the guy.
Oh, okay.
Like
Oh,
the main guy is that guy from that show, and I'm like, that's
right.
fucking that guy.
I'm
I don't know his
almost
real name.
skeptical now. Yeah, I'm almost skeptical
Real handsome
now
dude.
whenever I see a fancy bracelet. It's been the year of big letdowns with fancy bracelets.
You're just blaming the bracelet. The bracelet's fault.
Yeah, just something. It's like you put that much emphasis on that bracelet. I don't know, man. Like there hasn't been a cool bracelet accessory since like Spy Kids 2. This is
Yo,
They
the
rarely do
number of
anything
times
with
you
it.
bring up Spy Kids is starting to be
why
concerning.
Robert Rodriguez. Let him have an Ant-Man.
Oh.
There you go.
But yeah, it's super high, magic-y, fantasy, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's what it looks like Forspoken, because this and Forspoken look like everything. Like it's
Yeah.
really generic. If this was sci-fi, I don't think it would do it much favors either, honestly.
No,
See,
I don't think so
if
either.
Nick
I was
gets
just
excited,
surprised to see
I get
Gina
worried.
Torres in it.
You surprised
that's
to see her?
fair.
in
If
season
Nick
one?
get
Yeah, if Nick's next to me, we watch something, he says that looks good, I'm like, that's gonna be worrisome. But to the contrary, whenever Nick says it grew on me, I'm like, that's a good game right there. I don't know what that effect is,
Like,
the Calandra effect.
It gets through his cold, hard exterior. That's all.
His desire for flashiness and world building. Because I'm more of a like, give me a solid core gameplay and just structure it through that. Maybe an interesting character. That's kind of like my base limit. Whereas he's like, whoa, this looks like a cool place to look at. And this looks like
Yeah.
a cool place to throw yourself into it. Whereas I'm just here like, give me my cartoony characters.
Yeah, I just want it to feel good. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like I
absolutely.
need gameplay to bite into, and that will hold me. And then everything else is extra. Like, oh, this music is great. This visuals are great. Like the story is great. Like all that is extra on top of it.
Yeah, I guess for me it's the characters and story typically. I play so many like Dark Pictures and Telltale games and those, and like the Wales interactive games, which is just choices all the time. So yeah, and I'm super into those games. I know they're not good, most of them. I know, but they're super funny because they're not good a lot of times. Wales Interactive actually like responded, like commented on one of my TikToks of one of their games. I was
Really?
super. I was like, oh my god, you know,
Oh,
because I do love their games. They're just hella dumb at times.
Like, you know, that's
okay.
games in general.
Yeah.
We love our dumb games. Trying to think if there's anything left here to go over. Like I'm not a big Talos Principle guy. I never played the first one, but
No,
from
I
what I've
never
seen, kinda
played
hype.
that.
the game was
The
booty
VR
booty.
stuff
The game is
looked
booty? You
pretty
don't like
good.
it?
Yeah, the game was booty. I don't know, like
Was it? Everyone
wow.
was so excited
Yeah,
for
people
it.
are excited for Tellus.
Yeah.
It's one of those. That is my other Signalis, I guess, where I played it, and I'm like, I suppose it's a thing. I guess it's because it's a little existential, a little philosophical. That's why people like it.
Okay.
I think this is like, yes, I too read Socrates. You know?
Gotcha.
I'm like, all right. Sword of the Sea. That's got me excited. The new Journey follow
Oh
up.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to see more from that, because
Yeah.
like while I like Journey, like I think Journey is kind of overhyped for the experience it provided. Like I don't think it was that life changing to me. Like it's cool, but it's kind of like it's like a lowercase cool.
Lowercase cool.
I haven't
like
played
cool
any
with
of
a
those,
lowercase
though.
C?
It didn't spark like a visceral reaction from me after playing through that game.
Upsetting, truly. What did you think about Helldivers 2?
Uh, looks it looks fun, but also looks utterly forgettable.
Yeah.
Like it'll be a fun thing to do with some friends, but then like I don't think I'll ever go back to it. Like it's that in that
No.
kind of vein.
What do you call it? It looked just like the Starship Troopers game we played, but with
Oh, yeah.
a lot more polish.
Yeah, it's very much doing the Starship Troopers thing. Like when like that opening cinematic where like the guy's family is being like murdered in front of his face. Like I thought it was Starship Troopers. And then it's like, oh no, we're this other thing that very much wants you to think it's Starship Troopers.
Yeah. So they got me.
I'm interested in. I don't really know what Revenant Hill is like game wise, because it was just a cat running.
Right, yeah.
But I'm super like, and Night in the Woods is like the writing is so fantastic, so I'm into that. I want to know what it is, but game wise, I have no idea what they're doing. Because the VR stuff looked pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
All that looked very samey to me as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have VR, but like
Cat
it looked
Quest?
better than a lot of things we've seen before, I guess.
Fair. That's fair.
And then last but not least, Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Metal Gear Solid Triangle. It's
Metal Gear Solid Snake.
The remake of 3 is coming. That actually does excite me because like they're all good games. Like I just did the replay with Marty not too long ago. My biggest complaint is that they're so like the controls are dated for all of them except for the actual modern one, which was like 4 and then 5, of course. Like we played Ground Zeroes, which is the prelogue to 5. Like those games are like, oh, I'm playing a modern video game now. Whereas all the other ones like just have these weird quirks that are just of the time. It's like they just did things slightly differently back then. And
sounds about right.
Like the story in 3 is great. Like the setups, like the environments, the characters that you meet, like the boss encounters, like are so inventive in that game in particular. Like absolutely give me another take at that with the modern controls, modern visuals. Like I'm on board for that.
I just wish they had shown more.
Yeah, they didn't really have much to show, did they?
Yeah.
That's the core of this whole showcase, really. So outside of Spider-Man, it's just I wish they'd shown me more.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unfortunate.
But I feel like I feel like it's been a trend of a lot of these showcases. It's like, oh, that looks cool, no gameplay. Oh, what is it? I don't know. We'll see. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's almost like on the one hand, they don't want to overplay their hand. Like they want the public to know that this is a thing, but they don't necessarily want to color their expectations by showing an unfinished product. Like maybe it's still early in development, right? But the other hand is we've moved away from like a centralized trade show. So Sony has no parameters on what they can show you. Like E3, for example, or whatever trade show that they show up to are like, hey, we're only accepting gameplay, or we have this amount of time for, actual trailers, and then this amount of time for like. There's no one making those rules. Sony can show you whatever they want.
Yeah.
So like they don't ever have to show you the game until it's time for you to buy it, if they deem that necessary. Like it's up to us now to basically make that stink. Like, oh no, I'm not touching this until I see some gameplay. But Sony's in that Nintendo. Like they're heading. Like Sony is so close to that like golden area of the industry where like they just cannot do any wrong. Like their fan bases will eat up every single thing that they do regardless.
Yeah.
And like that's I'm so scared for that because Sony wants to be there very badly, and like they're this close.
I don't think they're close to it. I just think people are willing. At this point, people are kind of getting to a weird zone where they go, you know what, Xbox is just done for. Once they almost need Xbox, because if we all give up on Xbox and we put our eyes completely on Sony, then it's like, all right, so what do you do? We know you're better than the other guy, but what do you do? And that's when you're gonna start to see them flounder a little bit. I think Nintendo's the only one that goes like, you dare ask me what I do? Whereas with Sony, I feel like they can do wrong. They just can't do as wrong as the other guy.
Yeah.
Xbox right now is in a troubling place. Like,
But like
what you doing?
when that becomes like the default mindset, it was like, all right, well, Sony is the go-to, Xbox is the clown in this conversation. Then it's like people are gonna feel like they don't have anywhere else to go to, regardless of what Sony does. Sony is in the right. So like they'll charge you an extra $100 after the console launches. They'll make you buy. We didn't even talk about this. They'll make you buy a handheld that streams to the main.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Like whatever.
Did they even have a name for it?
Yeah. What did they call that?
They said internal project name is
like,
Project Q.
The Sony
it doesn't have a proper name yet.
Yeah.
Also, that thing kind of looked like a concept device. I don't know if they would release. Like this looks like something some folk on the internet would just release. Like, hey, Sony handheld is dropping. Like, shut the fuck up. This is fake. Like, I can't imagine that they release something that looks like this.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you could put your little slice of gamer pizza on it, use it like a food tray while you're watching the game. It's a weird looking thing.
Also, how much is it gonna cost?
It's like the Kentucky Fried Console, man.
To compete with whatever. That's also because if it looks like that's a lot of screen space,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, how much is it?
Yeah, I don't see anything about a price. Don't see anything about a release date.
No, they were just like, this is what we're working on.
They said it's supposed to stream games from the PS5 over Wi-Fi, which means it doesn't play things on its own even. Like, it's not a dedicated hardware device. This thing is just a streamer device. So your PS5 will have to exist one, so you need to buy PS5 if you don't have one.
Yeah.
And then you'll need it to be turned on and like Wi-Fi on in the house to stream this. I'm assuming to you outside the house, but I'm sure the ideal condition is that you're in the house with your device.
Yeah.
Right next to the router.
and then you can buy the earbuds as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me tell you, it's a Wii U gamepad, Casey.
Do you think they held back a bit? I feel like right now they want to see Nintendo and Sony want to see Xbox's next move.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we're going to play a little safe here, have some very easily digestible multiplayer games and like a new product that's not trying to be innovative. It's just an extra accessory. Because if they do go, here's how all the amazing stuff that we're working on, and they suck, you go, maybe I'm being a little too hard on Xbox right now. It seems everybody's struggling.
That's an interesting perspective, because I did see some folks online, folks that I don't consider super reputable, but nonetheless, I've seen some folks online saying that reportedly Sony was holding back, that this conference was not everything that they have in the tank, and that they purposefully was holding back a bunch of announcements for some reason.
Like some coping.
Okay.
Yeah, like I can't imagine what that reason would be. Like maybe they want to have another showcase in the thick of the summer games stuff, or maybe like you're mentioning, like they want to see what Xbox has coming, because Xbox has had some big summer announcements on the docket for a while now, and maybe they just want to counterpunch them as soon as they can with whatever they have in the tank. So I don't know, like I think that's a little tinfoil hatty to be like, oh, they announced this whole conference and they have a bunch of stuff they could talk about but chose not to, but then just had a whole conference to talk about a bunch of stuff that is on everything. Like, that seems weird.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But I could be wrong.
That's just the Sony homies coping. Like, oh, they got more somewhere, surely.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. But I mean, it could be possible.
See, I feel like if they had more, they wouldn't have shown so much so much carrot dangling. Like that Concorde trailer. What was that? You showed me a Jiggly burger in a spaceship. I feel like y'all would have shown me more. Was the jiggle physics on that burger, my guy. That was it's my new sleep demon.
I mean, it felt like the showcase, because it was all about Spider-Man, right? Because that was so long.
Yeah, that's their big like holiday
the gameplay
game.
Yeah.
So.
And it was like, it was a bit too much. It's like, we get it. It was great to see. It looks great, but we also knew kind of what it was already, so we didn't need to see that much of it. And then I would rather have wanted something else extra then, like if they just cut that a bit and like put something else in there. But
I agree.
And people are fighting me on like, oh, it's been like this for decades. We haven't seen gameplay and stuff. I kind of disagree. I feel like it's not like like, oh, you get a gameplay all the time in these shows, but you've definitely gone like more previews, more gameplay. Than now it's just like all flash. I feel like look at the Final Fantasy stuff. Like we saw a bit of it last time, but now it's just like this time it was just flash, 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 and I was like. Because I'm getting less interested because they're just showing me the Flash, and also we know it's like Clive.
This might be my initial fantasy. I tell you what, I never played one before, but that one.
No, but like you're the new generation Final Fantasy fans. For me, I'm just like I don't like this.
Yeah, and that's fair. They that's why I think they're showing so much of it, right? They're like, hey, you know the name, but like this is a different game, so like we need to show you what's in it so that you actually pick it up. Frost.
They're really.
That's exactly how it feels like. How they went. You know this turn-based RPG. Well, what if you all took all your turns at the same time? I'm like, whoa!
Imagine that.
I love it.
No, but they're really trying to distance themselves from old school Final Fantasy because they're very clear on. Yeah, they're very clear on. This is the action. It looks completely different. It's not turn-based. And it's like, okay, we get I get it. Like we've gotten it from like 15 and like we've seen the road you're going. And like what is it, Strangers of Paradise or whatever. So this is just what they're doing now. It's like it's kind of dead to me. But I hope the new fans have fun with it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean this is how I felt with 15. Like 15 looked more actiony and I was interested in jumping into that, and when I finally did, I fell right back out before any of the action started because that game has a very slow opening.
Yeah. Well, it's not a good game. It's real boring.
But if 16 like ditches all the trappings of the stuff that I dislike of the Final Fantasy universe and just like, hey, we want to tell you one of our stories set in one of our settings with just actual video game in it, then you know what, I could give that a shot.
I just think it's gonna get old because there's so much focus on the action. Everything else is kind of meh. So I feel like that's the issue because Final Fantasy was a lot about the writing and the characters, and now it's like, look at all this flash, look at these big summons, and it's like, okay, so this is what we're doing. So I'm just less interested in that because I will get bored that pretty quick. It would be cool first, and then I'm like, okay, I'm bored after seeing this for 15 times, basically.
Lampy with a question here says, how do you feel about this shift from marketing to media to marketing directly to the consumer? Has it been a shift? Because I feel like they've always marketed directly to the consumer. It's just they've used the trade show stuff to get the media to relay that message because, like, you know, the media was a trusted source for a long time.
Yeah.
Like as the YouTube creator culture came into prominence, and a lot of those guys, because they felt apart from the mainstream gaming media, they started to kind of like throw shit at them. They're like, oh, we're on the ground. We're like in the trenches. We're not elite above you, blah, 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 like the media does. They painted them with this brush or whatever. And a lot of younger folks ate that up to the point where like they don't trust the video game press. So I think the stuff that gets sent to the media or marketed to the media still goes on in the background because like publishers know that that's valuable and that there are a lot of people who listen to those outlets. But like, yeah, like their showcases are kind of for the everyman, right? Because they have because they'll watch straight on YouTube. They won't go to IGN to watch the video, or they won't go to GameSpot, or they won't even go to the YouTuber they follow to watch the video. Sometimes they're like, I'm just going to watch the trailer.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of complaints about games journalists in recent time. I feel just people are not happy a lot of times with like articles and reviews and stuff like that. And there's a distrust for a lot of people now.
and I feel like it comes out of unearned cynicism, in my opinion.
I think so too, but there's also examples of it being bad in places. But there's so much of it. So
people want to be lied to. Games journalists will be like, it's not as good as you think. It's not as bad as we say. But people want that. They want the people who feed them the information that they want fed back to them. Games journalists kind of at a certain point don't supply that as much as a content creator going, oh my God, Jiggly Burger. It's just different,
Oh man. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Like it's the echo chamber effect, right? Like there's a lot of people. I don't even want to say like it's a generational thing, because it's not. There's a lot of people who got so attached to hearing their own opinions regurgitated back to them on the internet that anything other than that is unacceptable. So like, if you don't agree with me, you are the enemy. And like, it's that level of discourse online. And sometimes people will not agree with you, especially when they have actually tried the thing you're excited for.
Like, oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like, hey, this thing that I was also excited for isn't that great. They're like, can't be, impossible. I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna like it in spite of you. Like that's the vibe.
Yo, I'm about to eat this in front of you and go yum, and then retch it out when you're not looking. Like,
because it'll prove that I'm right and you're wrong, and it'll prove that you're not as good. It'll prove that you're not better than me. Like I think that's like the vibe. Like folks are like, these people who are telling me stuff on the internet think they're better than me. It's like, no, I'm telling you what I think. Like that's all I'm here to do, is to tell you what I think, and like you can take it or leave it. Like I'm not here to convince you. I'm just here to inform you. But if you don't want that information, that's fine. But like, I don't know, folks take it personal.
I mean, like the hype culture, the echo chambers, as you said, while some games journalism outlets are going, what's up with these multiplayer, like these PvE or PvP extraction multiplayer games that are coming out of nowhere? You have people like Shroud, like Ninja, the forefront of the FPS echo chambers going, hell yeah, some competition, finally in my game. Whereas, I don't know, people don't understand that these guys stream for a living, right? If they don't have a game like this, they get to just sit and wallow in Warzone all day long, and they don't want that. So, yeah, it's almost like you got these echo chambers, these cult of personalities, whereas games journalism just doesn't have that, because that's not, well, we're not really allowed to play that. You do not become a reputable source by just going,
by
this
just being
is
a hype
the
beast,
greatest game. Yeah, no, we should though.
That is a different thing entirely. It's a thing that publishers value a ton, because like that's an extension of marketing. And they will pay people to do that sort of marketing. Whereas like the press, as it functions in society, is supposed to be this sort of neutral pillar that keeps everybody honest. Like we'll tell you to your face if this thing is bad. And like some publishers are like, that hurts the bottom line, so let's not actually deal with those guys. And they have the option now, because they used to not, right?
Yeah, I just think because there's been a bit of, people are upset most of the times about the clickbait as well. Like clickbaity titles for articles and stuff like that, because that does happen, because you need them clicks. So the distrust kind of grows from that as well, because then people click and go like, oh, this is not at all. And some outlets are just so bad with that.
No, you're right.
And definitely worse.
We need a new word for that, because clickbait means something that a lot of these outlets, even the ones who are guilty of like being very like sensationalist in their titles, they are not necessarily clickbait, because like, yes, they wrote an article about the thing they titled it, but the entire article is the problem, not necessarily the clickbaity title, right? Like they wrote an article about the misinformed opinion or the wild speculation that they titled it for. Like clickbait means you're getting something entirely different from what the article says.
Yeah.
So, y'all ain't know clickbait. I used to watch like COD Zombies get this new gun in this complete hidden area, and then they weren't even showing the game. And
like it would be like
what did I just watch? Like it'll completely different.
Yeah, that's an entirely different thing. Like
back in my day.
What's happening nowadays is people's attention spans are in the toilet. So like you gotta put a title on your thing that gets someone's head to turn. And so like that has extended into, all right, I got to write an article to get someone's head to turn because they won't finish the article. But like at the very least, you can write an eye-turning title and still have, you know, the actual article be about that title, just not in the not in the way you thought it was, because like, oh, it's almost like a twist in the end of a movie. It's like, I don't want to bring this back up, but like I wrote that I hate the way my son plays video games as an article title.
Yeah.
And like folks was like, that's clickbait, or like they took the title and was like, this is a bad father. And it's like the whole point is I learned from this experience not to treat my son's gameplay as the way I would play a game, but to let him grow from that. Like, it doesn't change the fact that I hate the way my son plays video game is a valid title for this article because it's a story that you had to read. And so, like I get it, because there are outlets that will be like, they'll frame something a certain way, and it's to invoke a reaction from you to get you to be mad at it, but that's because they need that attention. But then the article will still necessarily be a thing that you can viably be mad at. Like, it's not bait, it's what it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
Oh no, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, because I want to be clear. Like, I don't feel this way, because in my opinion, okay, let's talk about clickbait. We're talking about rage bait. I don't think rage bait is okay, but I think clickbait is okay, because you do need to do that for, if you're a business, this is what everyone's doing. What you need a thumbnail that's good. That could be a clickbait. Like, you know, but we're also talking about the definition of it, but now I'm talking about how people use the word. People use the word as, oh, I clicked on it because it looks cool, kind of thing. It's kind of changed the term, I feel, or like the meaning. But I get what people are saying in chat. But I think it's valid to use that, because like that's even YouTube when you put something up, like use an intriguing clickbait or not thumbnail to get them to click your thing. Right, it's like. Yeah, so that's just built into, especially if it's a business, you do need those clicks. You need people to view things. So I think that's fair. Yeah, it's just the issue when they go too far.
Sure.
And be like, that's the issue. And big outlets do this. And that's why people are getting more distrustful, because it keeps happening. People bring up examples all the time. And I'm like, oh, okay. So... Because I think, but it's also the thing of, but what's your responsibility as the individual? What do you think? Why did you click this? Did you think about it beforehand? No, you clicked it and then got mad. So like, whose fault is that? You know how, if you're on the internet, you know how this works. Like, we're all playing this game. You can't be like, no, they're bad. They tricked me. It's like, okay, so it's your first day on the internet then. Like, a lot of people know this, but they still do it, and then they blame someone else.
Yeah,
it's more like, you got me.
But this is, and the thing is, there are specific outlets that do this, that pander to this. The ones that are the worst, I would not consider big outlets.
Right? Yeah.
Like there's one in particular that I think we're dancing around that that like they have sensationalist titles, but I do think like their articles will still line up with their titles, and that's an entirely different conversation. That's you just having a certain value judgment of an outlet in general. Like, they are still who they say they are, like when they write those articles and they write those titles. But like the ones who are like someone was saying in the chat, are like writing things and like putting pictures, and then like you get entirely different scenario, or like they'll tell you, there was one I saw not too long ago about Nintendo talking about the next Switch hardware, but then you read the article and it's like, oh, they specifically say in this investor call that they're not talking about the next thing, but the it was like they were like, oh, Nintendo talks about the next console, but the point is, we're not talking about next console was the thing Nintendo said. It's like, that's shitty. Like that is a clickbait. But the people who did that were not like a major, games writer or whatever, or at least not one I would consider, because they're not a reputable source. Like, I haven't gone to them in the past, etc., etc.
I think my issue is just when the title's better than the article. Like, that's really what does it for me. Like, that was a pretty good title you got going on there, but then the rest is just dry. Or if I'm looking for information, right? But then they put out this the freaking what is it? Recipes do that a lot.
Yes,
It's like,
yeah.
how to make
Oh,
biscuits,
yeah.
and it's like, well, my grandmama used to make these, and then okay, all right. Well, how much flour? What do I preheat the oven to? Yeah, no.
Yeah,
It's
there's
just
a lot
like
of that.
scroll down,
That's a
scroll, keep
disconnect, yeah.
scrolling.
It's like you're trying to hit.
padded SEO type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to hit the kind of people who want just hard hitting, objective facts, and the other ones who want more like personality attached to it. It's when you try to combine them that you get this just weird minor demographic that is like very difficult to appease. Because I don't think the problem so much is clickbait. It's just trying to be both, trying to be very informational and trying to be very like personal with your own opinions and whatnot. And that's why people come through like, yo, Casey, you think you're better than me because you didn't like For Honor or something? Like, who knows? Because they're confusing their like personal opinions with objective stuff. Like, it's just
my opinion on
melding
For Honor
weird.
is not why I think I'm better than them. That's entirely separate from.
Yeah. That's something else. But not
I
this.
think I'm better than them, but not for the reason you think.
Yeah.
Also, I agree with people in chat about like I said, the definition of clickbait, but that is not how people use it. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's not.
So I'm talking about it in that.
Yeah,
way.
people are like, you said this to get my attention. Well, it worked, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's the whole thing. Point.
Apologies.
Yeah, even like sometimes being vague is part of being clickbaity. Like Donkey Redfall, his title was just Red Fail. That's it. That's enough for you to go, oh, okay, you know. And that's his whole thing. If you go look at his titles, it has like a running theme, a running gag, and it kind of exposes a little bit of it. It is all finding your thing. The annoying part is where you can have like, this game is the hottest new blah 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 blah, and it's gonna be informational with a sensational title and very dry.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got me there.
Yeah, and for me, like, I just don't go back, right? Like, if that's the tone of your content, then it's like, this isn't what I want to spend my time reading.
Yeah, that'll do it. Absolutely. So what can you do with this new? Because you guys said we got to this topic because we were talking about the showcase just going straight to the consumer instead of through the media.
Right.
I think that this almost is okay because it doesn't really take away from the media. Me having no knowledge of Marathon, Concord, and blah 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 blah. I read some articles to be like, so what are these games? What is fair game, right? And I think it still has its place, but it's definitely put like companies like Sony and whoever's doing their own direct showcasing. It puts them in a better position of power. And instead of like, you guys can talk about it now elsewhere. I'm gone. Like I'm not in this room. I'm not having this conversation. You guys can speculate all together. It's almost like, push the media out in with the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, like take us out of the equation. We got you the messaging we wanted, and like it's like let the chips fall where they may, right? Because some folks will be like, that's all I needed. I needed a trailer from Sony. I'm good. I'm either gonna buy it or I'm not gonna buy it. And some folks will search out other opinions. They'll be like, hey, let me go consult with someone who spends a lot more time thinking about this sort of thing than I do and hear what they have to say about it because I'm interested in what they have to say about it, right? So like that'll just happen organically, and Sony doesn't have to work so hard, I guess, to try and get the media to say what they want.
Yeah. If anything, it's almost better too, because some people do want to see these quick, sensational, like my favorite YouTuber reacts to the showcase, whereas people who are looking for like, what is fair games, what is Marathon, what is Foam Stars, they can find the articles at their favorite outlets. So it's almost like beneficial to everyone, but it feels a bit weird. It just feels strange because they're not competing with anyone else. Like as I said a while ago, they killed a cop. E3's dead. They can just do whatever they want now.
I don't think E3's coming back, y'all.
Oh no,
they tried it. They keep trying.
Yeah,
it.
Don't think it's coming back.
Next year, E3 will announce again, and no one will show up, and they'll be like, "I guess we won't."
I mean, what could they do at this point? They refuse to change in a changing world.
I don't even think they refused to change. I just think they attempted too late. Like they were on the cusp of trying to change. They were trying to make it like how Gamescom is run, and then the pandemic happened, where you just couldn't. Like the plan was, let's have even more people in this convention center. The pandemic said nope.
Yeah, the pandemic really showed us like I don't like going to things as much as I thought.
I can work from home forever.
Like if I can only get it at that place, sure. But if you were capable of live streaming it this entire time, like I didn't have to go. Yeah, no. Especially in this economy. I'd sooner go to Colombia than E3, you know?
Man, sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this like on a previous episode, but it's like E3 doesn't need to exist anymore. There's just no need for it.
Like
That's
the
the thing.
yeah, there's no need for E3. I do think there's a need for what E3 has provided. It just doesn't have to come from the ESA. Like Jeff Keighley's trying to slide on in there, like IGN is trying to, slide on in there.
OTK, big streamers are trying to do their own. Like Asmongold, he's the big WoW guy with Mizkif, just the big streamer guy, trying to do their own thing. It does feel wacky though. It feels like kids who have never done this kind of stuff, like Mizkif was getting flamed because tell us about your favorite games, and it's like, oh yeah, I love these old retro like Shovel Knight games or what, I forgot what it was. But like Mizkif, you don't play games, bro. You just like have YouTube open all the time. Yeah, no, it's a weird personality-led outlet, and I think if anything, if an outlet doesn't stay true to its own content, that's when like people can smell it. If you don't have your own personality, if you don't have your own system, nobody's gonna give a damn. And I think it's almost beneficial. Like unlucky, of course, a lot of outlets are dropping people. A lot of outlets are just straight up dying and stuff like that. But they kind of do have to evolve because you can't just insist that E3 will always be around and that this types of game journalism will always be around. Sony's moving on with it. We got to move with Sony. We don't like it or not. Jiggly Burger.
On that note,
that's the title of your.
No, that's 100%.
Oh, Jiggly Burger. Yeah.
100% the title. Be Smart, thank you so much. Gave a gift sub to Hard Revenge. I just noticed.
There you go.
Thank you. But any final thoughts on the Sony stuff before we wrap things up? This was a long one, even though we had like 3 guests this week, or 2 guests, I should say, other than me.
Oh yeah, you live here.
Yeah, I'm in this void 100% of the time.
No, I don't have anything more.
Okay, fair enough. Great conversation as always. Frost, why don't you let folks know what you have coming up, where they can find you, and all that jazz.
All right, so we got some early access stuff on the Escapist Gaming, and we got a new cold take coming out for patrons tomorrow, but later today at 3 p.m. CT. I'm going to be playing the hottest game of the year, Gollum. That's,
oh god!
Yeah. Does it take place in the fires of Mordor? Is that what makes it hot?
Does. Maybe.
Have they patched everything yet?
Lord, I hope not. I hope I get it as raw as the day it came out. Like, yeah, this is gonna be rough. Not gonna have Amy around because her internet pooped out.
Oh yeah.
I might have Marty. This is gonna be exciting. We're gonna play some jank. I don't even know what the game is. I saw.
Do you have a 3080? Because that's the recommended GPU.
Is it?
Yeah. It's
maybe?
so weird. It's so dumb.
That is insane.
That's a lot. What? They just make point-and-click adventures. Why do they need
and
a
it's on the
3080?
Switch. Why does it need a 3080 on the PC?
What?
It's ugly as fuck.
Well, I should put it on. I'm gonna put on low graphics just to mess with them even more. Probably just look better. But yeah, no, that'll be going on at 3 p.m. CT over on the Escapist YouTube channel. Yeah.
Nice. Honey Money, what do you have coming up? Where can folks find you?
Yeah, just streams. Always just streams. Tomorrow's Mask is Monday. I'm gonna do what's the return to market? So it's puzzles, and we all know how I feel about puzzles. So I'll see how maybe I should put a timer on like how long I can stand it. So we'll see. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll just finish Vampire, and then I haven't decided yet. I'm thinking of playing Mass Effect because I have the itch. I love those games. Yeah. So
nice. Thank you. As for me, you can find me at Sigma Gears 9 on Twitch and Twitter. I'll be back later today on the Open Party channel with Superman Jeff for more Super Smash Sunday. We've been gone for 2 weeks as well. So we'll be back with a vengeance, trying to get those matches in. Outside of that, keep an eye out for some 3MRs dropping on the Escapist soonish, as well as all the usual streams that we do throughout the week. Just if you follow Twitter, you'll probably see me tweet out about one or more of these things. So that's your best bet to kind of keep up. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. This was great. Thank you, Frost. Thank you, Honey Money. Always a pleasure to have you guys here. Thanks everybody in the chat for contributing to the conversation. We will see you at some point in the future. One day I will think of like a actual good ending for this show, because I've not had one since I started. It's been entirely too long.
You need a catchphrase. You need a catchphrase, Casey.
Zippity doo bop gamers.
Zippity boo bop. See you next time.